Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Smoke weed every day, yay. Some Nate Dogg shit.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan. It's unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
It's number 257. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Rich.
Took a week off. I'm playing week off, but we're back. We're back to tell you, for the love of God, vote. Didn't we not learn a lesson 2 years ago, everybody? You're near a voting booth on Tuesday. Step into it.
Oh, and the day can't come soon enough for me. I mean, I'm sure for many people, but...
Because you watch TV and stuff and go online. Like, I mean, I know what's going on. I know it's got to be insufferable.
No, I rarely turn on the TV. I see a lot of things from clips from like CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and all that through social media. I don't ever... I record Rachel Maddow's show. I don't listen to it every day, but I usually listen to it through the podcast. Every once in a while, she'll throw up some infomercials, and I don't know what she's talking about. But most times it's like you don't really need the visual, to take in that show fully. But yeah, I mean, at the risk of sounding like a snowflake, I am exhausted. Like,
dude, it has to
mentally exhausted. All of this shit.
It has to be insufferable.
I've just been kind of skimming the surface this last week. I haven't been deep diving on issues. I haven't been reading all the stories and trying to keep up with everything. I kind of look over at a situation and go, okay, I think I understand that fully, and move on. I don't need everyone's opinions to weigh in on this.
Well, just like I was telling you guys in the pre-show talk, I'm listening to NPR earlier today, and they're talking about this election cycle, this midterm cycle. They spent $5 billion has been spent by political candidates. That's more than than is spent in a presidential election year. I mean, that's insanity. Think about that, $5 billion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just.
Maybe we took Donald Trump to remind us to pay attention every 2 years instead of every 4. Is that the silver lining we can take from this? Maybe.
Oh, well, in general, I mean, I think it just got more people paying attention.
Wait, there's one every 2 years.
Well, it's the thing. Like, I think a lot of people that sat out of the presidential race in 2016 just figured that the country was on the right track, right? That Obama kind of lined everything up, and it's just going to coast no matter what. And we're just going to continue to make what one would consider progress. And progress only happens if you're constantly pushing for it. Well, but voting isn't enough.
Okay, well,
that's apparently the message that the media wants to use to. I know it's a broad stroke, but some in the media want to use.
I know I'm going to regret this. What is enough? Then
it's all kinds of things.
What then, pray tell, is enough?
It's just a line used to talk about, whatever form of activism that one can do. Get out there and make signs and march around, or use your social media presence and confront your family members and try and sway others.
Yeah, that works. Well, we know. We're jaded old guys who all have our toes in the cynic pool.
Well, look, I'm glad that you two are like, hey, yeah, do your duty, go out and vote, blah, blah, blah. Me, I'm just like, I have nothing to vote for. None of these people represent any of my concerns, nor do they care about any of my concerns. So why should I give them any of my fucking energy?
Well, I am being hypocritical because I have an absentee ballot. The only thing I'm checking is the marijuana proposal. That's it.
There's proposals I'll vote on, but
that and the gerrymandering one. Proposal 2.
Yes. There's proposals I'll vote on, but that's it. I'm not fucking rubber stamping any of these jackasses.
And I hate to say it, but I know it's like I'm middle class. I'll be generally unaffected, like whoever way, because it's a governor vote in Michigan. And generally in Michigan, if you're middle class, whoever's in charge, it doesn't fucking matter. You're going to pay the same amount of taxes.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It is true that like our vote in Michigan isn't going to go to some sort of check on President Trump.
Yeah, but our congressional ones could, and that's unfortunately where I'm like the least educated. I know Debbie Stabenow's up again, but I also know she's been like senator like our entire lives, and I know
exactly.
And I know she's going against up against a black Republican, like in Michigan. That's kind of a big deal. But I don't
Is he part of the Blexit,
the Blexit,
or is he just a lifetime Republican?
I know Kid Rock endorsed him, so I'm sure he's an Uncle Tom.
No.
According to his own words that I listened to a few days ago, an interview he did, he, despite his "I support Trump 2,000% comment, which Obama had a fucking field day with when he was here, he said that he feels the Republican Party is the party that is doing the most to uphold everybody's rights that's an American citizen instead of just special interest groups or protected groups or whatever the fuck. But it was weird because you say you're behind Donald Trump 2,000%, that paints you into a certain corner. And then you say basically, well, I'm just going with the Republican Party right now because I feel at the moment they're the ones that are getting it the most right, which makes it sound like he could flip at any time. And
I think it's a clever way of walking that line.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's politicking. It's the art of talking loud and saying nothing.
He set himself up for in 5 years when he turns out Democrat. No, I'm black. I was just playing.
Well, I mean, I guess.
Well, that's what Kanye said this week, basically.
From a strategic point, didn't Bernie Sanders do that with the Democratic Party? You know, sometimes he's a Democrat, sometimes he's an independent, and
I'm going to give you a nomination. I'm a Democrat.
Yep. When I run for president, I have to run as a Democrat because if I have that I by my name, I'm not taken seriously. So I don't know. Maybe that's what that guy is trying to do, or at least act like that could happen. But once again, I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm not. We talked about this a few episodes ago. It makes sense to vote in your own best interest. But I can't vote for the people that are claiming they have my best interest at heart with a good conscience. But I can't vote for the other side because they just don't give a fuck about me, period. I mean, that's just all there is to it. And it's like, okay, fuck everybody then. I don't care. Show me someone who even can fake empathy that they give a shit about anybody but some group that they feel is going to put them over the top in the election.
I think Barry had his fool that he cared.
Oh, yeah, 2008, I bought into it. Totally bought into it. But, by the time 2012 rolled around, it was the same old, do I vote for this Mormon jackass with his magic underwear? Or do I vote to, keep in the idiot who fucking sold us down the river and fucked us over with the healthcare when he backed off instead of saying, no, I am getting single payer, and that's all there is to it. You don't like it? Eat a fucking dick.
Hey, you never go back. We didn't. We had to. We were made to go back legally. There was a term limit.
Well, yeah, but clearly there's a better choice for you, right? I mean, neither is a good choice, but there's
lesser two evils, which is pretty much what.
Right, I guess that's what I'm trying.
I don't want to speak for Aaron, but that's what I did in 2016. I was like, give me the.
Right.
Give me the shit sandwich instead of the giant douche.
Yeah.
Like, if you're asking me to make a choice between these two fuckheads, give me this one.
Well, if they care so much about the quote unquote working person, then why do all these Democrats, the only unions they support are unions that are not going anywhere? Teamsters, United Auto Workers. Why don't they ever support up and coming unions in other industries? Oh, that's right. Because they don't have 100+ years of support and pipelines built into the union, so they don't give a shit. So don't tell me how much you care for the working person when you do nothing for the working person. And don't try to act like you're not pandering to one group of people more than another. It's horse shit. Why can't a politician get up there and go, everybody's individual rights. The government should only treat you as an individual. Period. End of story. And we all have under these laws that we've passed, the same rights. If your rights are being violated, we'll do something about it. No, let's make more laws. Let's legislate more bullshit. Let's make this illegal. Let's make this. I'm just not with that, man. You can't legislate yourself to freedom. And it's not like I'm talking about one party more so than the other. They both are guilty of it at this point. They're both like just the worst fucking girlfriends one of your boys has ever dated in their life. The minute they get to something they don't like, shut it down. Can we go home? All your friends want to do is get drunk and get high, and then my eyes hurt from the smoke, and just then go home, bitch. Let us have fun. Both parties are just fucking party poopers at this point. And I'm supposed to vote for one of these idiots? Why? Because one's more socially progressive? How does that help me? Since everybody's got their hand out going, what about me? I guess it's my chance. What about me? And when I'm told, don't worry about it, you're good. Oh, okay, all right. Saying someone who isn't even fucking aware of my situation just because of the nature of what? I don't fuck the same gender as me. I don't fall within the skin tone that puts me in the oppressed group. Get the fuck out of here. It's just horse shit, man. And we fall for it every time because it's the only. You're absolutely right, Chris. Turd sandwich or giant douche. That's it. That's the only choices we ever have.
Yeah. And
okay, so nobody's voting then.
Like I said, I'll vote on. I mean, we could talk about the propositions. The gerrymandering proposition isn't just limited to Michigan, even though it is on the Michigan ballot. That's something that needs to be fixed quick, fast, and in a hurry. No political party should have the say-so over how the congressional districts are drawn up.
Get my Prop 18 on like a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, but use that as an example then. Don't you think that there's one party that is more in favor of this reform than the other? From what I've seen, it's clearly Democrats are the only ones talking about it, except for in the rare instances when it's worked against Republicans in isolated areas. This is it's Democrats that you have to thank for getting that issue on the ballot.
Okay. Congratulations on doing your job for a change.
That's what I'm saying. Look, I am not disputing any of your dispersions of Democrats. All I'm saying is to throw away your opportunity to vote is extremely short-sighted. And I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't want to exercise that. Surely it's never going to be some perfect candidate that represents you in all ways and you are super hyped about. But you got to pick someone, right?
It's true. Then you're letting other people make the choice for you.
Right.
Well, in my mind, what is the point? In my mind, what is the point of going, okay, so there's one issue I agree with, there's multitude of issues I don't. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Sit down and write a pro-con list? Like I'm trying to figure out, am I going to stay with my main chick or go with my side chick?
If that's what
maybe
it takes. Yeah. I mean, look, if you look at one side and go, there's almost nothing that I identify with. And then you look at the other side and then you go, there's a little bit here that I identify with. Well, I mean, I wish that those weren't your two choices, but they are, and that's the reality. So if you just don't vote on either one, then you're just fucking yourself over. I mean, why not vote for the side that you somewhat identify with, right? If you want to see progress in certain issues and there's people in this party that represent that, well, then maybe that's what your vote is representing. You want to see progress on personal freedoms. Well, which side is representing that better?
What issue are we talking about? Talking about gun ownership? It's not the Democrats.
I'm talking
about
very
abortion.
generally. But if you want
Republicans,
that's why I'm using the general term, because it wasn't a Republican or Democratic thing. Both of them have their own perception of personal freedom, and if all I'm saying is that on issues that are important to you, like this gerrymandering thing, there are clear supporters on one side or the other, and that should give you a clue as to where you should be throwing your vote. Even if you're doing it while holding your nose, you are still doing your part to influence change in the country for the change that you want to see.
I understand and I get where you're coming from. I guess I'm just, I heard
You're frustrated, and I know.
I heard an interview the other day that I wish I could remember who it was with exactly, because to me it was like, boom, that's it. That's all that right there. That explains how I feel. This guy, he's one of these political strategists that I don't know his party. He doesn't wear his party on his sleeve. He could be a Republican, could be a Democrat, could be an independent. I don't know. But he said flat out, he said the right has made such a hard turn to the right. They've turned off moderate, centrist, whatever you want to call it. And the left has done the same thing because the right did that. And they're turning off moderates. So there is a whole chunk of this country that's going, can you two stop fighting about like what 5% of this fucking country is worried about? And can we get to like, the major issues we need to tackle here?
Yeah, like, hey, remember the rest of us?
And it's a valid point that's never brought up because you can't bring it up. If you bring it up, that's dog whistle racism. You're trying to change the subject. Stop trying to dictate the narrative. Oh, I'm sorry. Only you can do that, right? My bad. I forgot. Only you can change the subject when it's going to, by the way, I'm talking to the politicians who do this shit.
Right.
I'm talking, that's who I'm referring to as the you, not us or the listeners. And that's horseshit. And no one calls them on it. And everyone says the same thing. It's the lesser of two evils. But what's the end result? You still end up with evil. That's how come this whole walk away
but
shit.
But what's the
criminal
positive result of you not voting?
If nothing changes when I vote and nothing changes when I don't vote, for me, for the better, what's the point of me voting?
Trying? The possibility?
Well, just like any relationship, it takes two to tango. And our government...
This isn't a fucking relationship, though, Rich. You're talking about those politicians like they owe you something.
Yeah, they fucking do. They are our fucking employees. Do you not understand that?
I understand that.
We fucking hired them and fired them.
They're not fucking mates.
Responsible to us. Don't give me that shit. Jesus fucking Christ. Are you serious? Come on, Aaron. You're not fucking brainwashed. I know it.
What do you mean fucking brainwashed? We're talking about me expressing a basic right as an American to vote. It's never going to be a perfect vote. It's never going to be for the guy who I think is going to make all the change that I want to see in this country.
Yeah, and to say, you act like they owe you something. Yes, they fucking do. They are our employees. They are public servants. What don't you understand about that? It's your attitude of they don't owe us anything that allowed them to continue to get away with this shit.
I'm dealing with the reality of the situation as it is.
Well, good for you, I guess. I don't know what else to fucking say. But what's the reality of the situation? Reality of the situation is shit ain't changed. It's only gotten worse. So let's keep doing the same thing and hoping for something different. Okay.
What is it? The same thing as voting?
Yes, using the same tired lines I've heard since the first election I can remember. I voted for the lesser of two evils. Well, I didn't really like either candidate, but one candidate, there was a couple issues I agreed with him on or her on. So, why can't? What is so wrong with wanting to demand better candidates?
Nothing.
What is so wrong with when? Well, how
can you be taken seriously as demanding better candidates if you don't vote, though?
I always think that the solution to this, and it sounds like I'm being smart-assical. I kind of am. But at the same time, I really do, like, if you had an option for none of these people, like, that would, if at some point, like, the country could go, that none of these could win in some kind of election.
I would totally get on board with that, because then you would have a number. You would go, okay.
Wow, 60% of people who voted said none of these people. Shit.
Right. When you start seeing like large numbers going, I wasn't satisfied with either of these candidates, then you have the ability for some other party to actually have some power. I mean, I'm not satisfied with the two-party system that we have, but it is the system that we have. And I'm not exactly comfortable going, well, I'm just going to abstain until the system changes to fit my needs. Meanwhile, the Republicans run the country and see how that goes.
And my problem with that, because I agree with you on what you just said, my problem with it is this. If you'd go, I'm going to vote for who I actually believe in. I'm going to vote for a third party candidate, whatever an independent candidate. Inevitably, what happens? That candidate draws votes away from another candidate. Mm-hmm. And what's the first thing it said? In 92, it was, we'd have had 4 more years of Daddy Bush if Ross Perot hadn't ran.
It did interrupt his daughter's wedding.
I mean, it's always, well, if people didn't vote for Jill Stein, we would have had President Hillary Clinton. Well, you know what? Instead of blaming the voters for voting for who they fucking want, get better candidates. Get people who want to vote for these people, that make people want to vote for them. I didn't agree with everything Bernie Sanders said, but you know what he did? He at least went out there and fucking addressed issues that needed to be fucking addressed, that no other candidate was touching.
I'd love in a presidential primary to just have the option of none of these people, to have an option of none of the above. Nope. No, none of these losers.
Well, runoff voting is kind of similar to that, where you actually rank. You have a number of candidates, and I don't know if this could work in a certainly not in a 2-party presidential system like we have. But if you have multiple candidates, you rank them on how much you would like to see them be in office. And if no one candidate gets a majority, then it goes through all this numbers thing. I don't know the exact details of it, but it seems to work very well in some places.
Yeah, and every time it's brought up here, the usual suspects, aka the people who are in power and have figured out how to manipulate the system to stay in power, come out with, "Well, that'll never work here." Why? Well, because we say it's never going to work here. Okay. Well, I'm glad that the 2 candidates who are going to benefit the most from the way the system's set up have decided no other system will work. Thank you.
Isn't that crazy?
It's funny how that works, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of like letting the inmates run the asylum, and then you wonder why it looks like a fucking a nut house.
Rich, you are absolutely right that the more important thing to vote on in our ballot here in Michigan is the gerrymandering. That's the only way that we're going to keep our votes mattering in any way. And I do sympathize with your unwillingness to participate in any of the other candidates that are running to vote for anyone. But the way I see it is that Trump is leading a small but powerful movement of people that want to drastically reshape this country. And that's it's like he's this monster, like looming over the city, and all the citizens are watching him, like chucking rocks and shit. Like, it's not going to do anything. You're not going to stop him with this shit. And here I am standing with a rock in my hand, knowing that it's probably just going to bounce right off of him. But am I going to throw that rock anyway, or am I just going to stand there and let myself be trampled? I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe one of these rocks does some critical damage. Maybe the combined power of all these small rocks is actually enough to take this asshole down. I was totally for voting third party prior to this, but Trump is a different beast. This isn't a choice between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. This is a choice of whether do you actually believe in what the Constitution stands for, or do you believe in some sort of fucking blood right, land handed to you by God bullshit about this country, that you belong here, that's what.
But I can understand why Rich would think, fuck throwing that rock. I'm not going to waste that energy. I'm going to figure out how to save my own ass. You
know what it is?
Your ass is gone anyway. I mean,
here's the honest.
This is like, I'm just going to get one last masturbation session in before I die, instead of tucking my rock.
You like that fossilized dude they found at Pompeii that had his dick in his hand? I'm going down pounding.
Exactly.
Going down pounding.
That's some dedication when the lava's coming towards your ass and you're like, I got to get this nut first. I mean, to not even stop, to just die with your hand wrapped around your cock, that is, whew.
That's a baller move.
I like to think that, when it comes to masturbation, I'm a connoisseur, but god damn, I think I would even stop at that point.
Well, even if it was just some kind of, natural reaction, like most people hold their hands up and try and shield their face. That was his first inclination. It was like, my junk!
He's going to take right to the cock.
That's the Ron Jeremy of Pompeii right there. No, you can't take it from me. No, look. And yeah, I got heated about it because that is an issue that I do get heated about, and I'm sorry for getting as heated as I was, but I'm not sorry for what I said, because I do feel that politicians need to understand, you work for us. We hire you. We fire you. It's not the other way around. We're not here to make you rich. You're here to keep the government going and to better the lives of the people that hired you. And yes, I have... Just like, and like you said, you want to be like the Palestinians staring down a tank and throw a rock at it. I admire the moxie, and in a way I'm envious of it, just like I'm envious of I guess Christians or anybody of any strong faith that they're like, nope, my faith will get me through.
Now I'm personally offended, Rich.
Okay, wow. I was trying to, so
You just compared my beliefs to religion. I'm going to have to rethink.
Well, I mean,
that's a low blow.
Faith is a luxury, isn't it? I mean,
I don't think I'm speaking from a place of faith.
No, I'm talking about faith itself, and I think I don't know if envious is the right word. Like, I just don't have it in me to be like, I got to keep fighting no matter what. There's no fight to be won here. I mean,
actually, Rich, what you're saying is, I know it's kind of joking about being offended, but it's actually, when I took a beat to think about it, it's actually quite true, because the state is the new religion. We've kind of talked about this before, the idea of governments replacing religions in the common belief in collective human minds. So, I mean, in that way, I guess that is my religion. I do believe in this country, like, not just in a way like, yes, I believe it exists. Like, I believe in certain things that I believe it stands for. So I guess it is a faith. I think you're absolutely right. That is what we're talking about. My faith in the system and your lack of faith in the system.
But see, and then there's that little bit of nagging in the back of my mind, because I'll still go out and vote on certain proposals. Because maybe if we can elicit change a tiny bit. I mean, just a drop of water falling on a rock over 1 million years will wear the rock down. Well, I understand that, like with the gerrymandering, if Proposal 2 passes, we're probably not going to see the results from that for decades. But the way it's going now is horseshit. What is it, every 10 years they redraw the districts, and the party in power basically decides how the districts are redrawn?
Yeah.
Horseshit. Neither party should have that say-so.
Yeah, I mean, this used to be kind of a few years ago, this was kind of a fringe issue. I think more people are starting to understand what it actually means, and maybe it's just for lack of having it described well, but basically you can just think of it as the party in power gets to look at the district and carve up its own voting districts in a way that guarantees them future elections.
Exactly. And see, that's how it
would be as if Trump could sit in his office right now and go and decide how many votes for president each state is going to get. Their delegates. You're like, you know what? California has too many delegates. Let's take some of those delegates and we'll put them in Iowa and Texas.
California has now one delegate.
Right. That's essentially what they're doing with this gerrymandering.
Absolutely, and it was something that when it would be brought up, and you're absolutely right on this, even 5-10 years ago, a lot of people go, I don't really know what that is.
And this is a thing that's existed for, I don't even know how long. It seems like 100 years now. I mean, been alive all those 100 years, but it seems like it goes back that far. This is not like a new thing.
No, not at all. And the scary part is in my mind, why did it take like people along the lines of John Oliver and, you know, people like that, the newsertainment people to do stories on this? What? Hello, there's no mainstream media that, you know, they could be like, hey, I understand we're not going to lead with it and we can bury it at the end, but can we just like bore people with like informative news for like 5 minutes at the end of the broadcast tonight?
It's not sexy.
Nope,
It's not getting
can't
a click.
happen. Can't happen.
You can't make a hashtag out of it. You can't
but
put it on Instagram.
here's the proof. The proof is in the pudding. John Oliver, a few other people started talking about it. Other news sources picked up on it. Now it's on the ballot. Boom. That's proof right there. People, if you do inform them, even if it's against their fucking will, even if they're going, no, we want more Jersey Shore and TMZ, shut up and eat this fucking information because you're fucking a bunch of ignorant asses. Yeah, a lot of people will spit it back out, but a lot of people will chew and swallow. And that's why I feel strongly about, you know what, I'll go vote on that proposition. I mean, I feel strongly about the marijuana proposition, but that's for different reasons. Those are purely selfish reasons. You know, I just want to be able to buy a bag and not have to worry about, you know, doing jams for 6 months if I get pulled over for 2 grams. So,
yeah, I'd like to think that even if I wasn't a pot smoker, I would be passionate about this issue because it's a basic personal freedom issue.
well, yeah, and it's also, I mean, that's how we have a station I found just by pure accident and boredom when I was driving, 9:10 a.m. and it's
The Superstation?
I think it's a predominantly black talk station, and they had an older, and I turned it on. I had no idea about the ages of the hosts. You could obviously tell by their voices and how they were addressing certain subjects that they were black. And this lady who was hosting the show was like, if this legal marijuana for recreational use passes in the state of Michigan, it's going to make the crack epidemic look like nothing. And I about drove my car off the road laughing my ass off because I'm like, you have to be shitting me. Of all the drugs, legal or illegal right now, if we could only pick one to legalize, marijuana makes the absolute most sense from a logical and reasonable standpoint. It wouldn't be alcohol. It wouldn't be cigarettes. I mean, those are the 2 most dangerous drugs we have besides what, heroin and people not knowing what's in it.
I mean, you know, there's so many reasons why that's a piss poor comparison. I mean, besides just comparing the 2 drugs, the impact of those drugs and what those drugs meant. I mean, the crack epidemic was an epidemic, not really because this drug was doing any more harm than any other drug had the potential to do. Ultimately, it was the violence and the gang activity that was was part of it. Yeah, that's what made this horrible epidemic. You know, I would bet you more people died from being wrapped up in that shit and just catch a stray bullet than actually OD'd on and managed to stop their heart on crack.
Yeah, despite all the, you know, dare propaganda of, you know, oh, yeah, one hit and your heart can explode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Look,
cool.
It's not good for you, and it's not good if you want to have like stable relationships and jobs and shit. Sure, and there's no doubt it can ruin your life, but if you actually just do a modicum of research about this, you'll find out how much of the epidemic that was trumped up from our childhoods was just utter bullshit. It was just that government propaganda.
That's how come looking back at my parents when I think of the drug talks that they felt they needed to have with me. First of all, I should have started every one with, when they're like, I need to talk to you about drugs, I should have been like, what do you want to know? Because you don't know shit.
Right.
You're talking out your fucking ass.
Right.
You know,
I mean, even the crack baby thing. I mean, I remember that from when I was a kid. They were talking about crack babies. These mothers get addicted to crack. They have unprotected sex. They have these kids. The kids are born addicted to crack. not possible. You know, it is possible to, because you share a bloodstream, basically, that baby's going to get some of that. There's no cases of babies being addicted to crack or being born underweight because of the mother smoked crack. I mean, it's just not a good idea. But the government doesn't seem to think that not a good idea is a strong enough message to actually make us do anything.
Well, when I talk to my younger friends, they are constantly amazed at the lies that we were told. And we were told this as if it was the word of God himself handed down to Moses, put on the tablets, brought from the top of the mountain. Lies like, oh, drug dealers? Yeah, they'll hold you down and inject you with drugs to get you addicted to them. No, they don't do that. Oh, drug dealers? They'll give you free drugs till you're hooked, and then the price goes up.
First one free bullshit that we heard when I was growing up. I never got any shit free.
Not once.
You know how you get free? You know how you get free drugs? You have a vagina.
Yeah,
that's how you get free drugs.
You can suck off the dealer, you get free drugs.
Okay,
don't tell you that in Dare.
But yeah, all these horse shit stories, and marijuana will make you think you can fly off the top of a building. Sorry to just
that's acid.
Well, also, but no, they told me marijuana in Dare when I was going to Muir Junior High. I think because it was in Milford, they were probably like, we got to scare these upper middle class kids, not realizing that I was a poor kid that snuck in via marriage. And I'm like, that's bullshit.
And the other thing they don't realize too is, like, don't they realize they just taught us what drugs look like with Dare? Like, that's really what the drug education was. Oh, so this is what weed looks like. Cool.
Okay, children, this is an ounce of marijuana, also known as a lid. Right. Pass it around. Children, I'm gonna need that marijuana back. And everyone's sitting there like, I don't know where it's at. But no, seriously, not to bite Bill Hicks.
What
but
weed?
Didn't he fucking bring it up? Okay, if you think you can fly, why not try to take off from the ground? What kind of asshole goes to the top of a building and jumps off? We didn't lose a fucking cure for cancer. Oh, fucking well. All right?
Yeah.
He was an idiot before he got high, is basically what he's saying. And I can't disagree with that. I mean, it's the old Bill Cosby routine. What's the big deal about cocaine? It enhances your personality. Yeah, but what if you're an asshole? That's it. It's right there. That's it.
What if you like to put roofies in drinks and rape women?
See, I go to parties and any drink I see sitting around, I just drink up because I'm worried about protecting our women. So I'm just like, if there's any free drugs in here, you're not getting them. I got your back, ladies. Meanwhile, I'm passed out in the bathroom getting a train ran on me by the sisters from fucking from Shawshank.
Wake up in the morning, my butt hurts.
Well, that Jack Daniels tore me a new asshole. But yes, okay, so getting back to what the whole thing is, 9:10 a.m. in Detroit, some of the best unintentional comedy I've heard on radio ever. Second of all,
yeah.
These are not, this wasn't like Medea's church hour on 9:10. These were besides that statement, people that appear to be very progressive and grounded in reality. And I'm like, this is the shit that it's being fucking told about this? Like, oh, this is going to break families up and parents are going to abandon their children over weed?
Over some weed?
like, how deep of the fear Kool-Aid do you have to drink to believe that?
Well, let's start with the idea that how much do you think that Michigan, if this passes, per capita, how much do you think weed consumption is going to go up?
None.
I would guess like
stay the same.
1%, because you'll have the experimenters. But this is just, and it's not like somebody's going, now I can finally smoke all the weed I want. Like, no.
Like someone's going to be like, hey, marijuana's legal now. Well, I guess it means I should start smoking it. No, if you've been smoking
people make fucking minimum wage and smoke all the weed they want.
Yeah, if you're smoking weed, you're smoking weed. Prop 18 passing ain't changing that. If you didn't smoke weed before Prop 18, you're still not smoking weed.
All we're changing in Michigan is we're taxing it.
Yeah.
We're making it legal. We're taxing it. Maybe we're taking it. I mean, like a little bit out of the hands of gangs, whatever. It's such a small.
They'll just move on to
portion of
opiates.
Even just your average nonviolent drug dealer is probably not going to cry over not having to sell dime bags of weed anymore.
No, because those stores will have to close at some point, and they're going to be like, it's 4 a.m. They're going to shift hours a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. If the law says the store's got to, just to throw a number out there, if the law says the store's got to be closed by 10 o'clock at night, and they can open up at 7 a.m, between 10 and 7, that's when weed dealers are going to be roaming the streets. And most weed dealers are as benign as a little kitten. They're pussies. It's not like weed dealers are like, yo, I'll be killing lots of motherfuckers over my weed, man. Right. That ain't how it works. Right.
I mean, we've had a pseudo legal system in place for over a decade now, right? And I haven't seen one dispensary get shot up.
No. Ever. And they're in the hood.
Right.
The churches and the parties, or not parties, them and the churches are the most protected places in the hood. Like, don't fuck up my dispensary, man. I get good deals from them, man. You fuck it up, I'm fucking you up.
Fuck my weed spot up.
Also, inside of Detroit, I mean, all they really did was go, oh, let's just buy a storefront and take our corner operation and go sell it out of the storefront until somebody fucks with us. And then we'll go back to the corner until we get another storefront.
Well, see, and now that to me would have been a more valid criticism on 9/10 of the weed situation.
That's a valid criticism of what was in place in Michigan. Sorry, until they started all this reform.
Yeah, like when Killer Mike was on Bill Maher and he said, "Look, here's the deal: black folks and weed go together like peanut butter and chocolate. All right, like it's two great tastes taste great together, and." We need to get in on the ground floor on this shit because this is our shit. This is an industry that we can get on the ground floor, know what we're talking about, and thrive in.
Right.
And the fact that they're being kind of blocked out by, and here's the problem with legalizing it. Here comes the over regulations of everything, and eventually it's going to happen. It's going to be like, oh well, you can open your stores in the hood, but Livonia, we're not having any black-owned dispensaries in Livonia. Are you kidding me? Get that shit out of here. By the way, Livonia is a very wannabe bougie, but at one point, not too distant past, a very bougie suburb of Detroit.
Fuck does the vote really? Get the fuck out of here. You're working class. Sick the rest of us. Livonia, shut up. It's like Roseville. Hey,
it's an aging population in the city, though.
Well, I mean, the point is that Livonia was known as not a good area to be driving while black in for decades, and having dealt with a few Livonia cops.
What are those cities you drive around?
If you're black, if you can avoid it, and having dealt with driving a hoopty,
right?
Yeah,
maybe not. Exactly, driving legal.
But yeah, I mean, it's already got that that mindset. So yeah, that's something to worry about. To me that's a valid concern. Like, yeah, we're going to be boxed out by the wrong type of people are owning these places in the wrong neighborhoods. If you want to own it in the hood, that's fine. You want to own it in Inkster, you want to own it in Detroit, that's fine. Not in our neighborhoods.
You got to go to 8 Mile if you want to go to the titty bar, right? It's no different, really.
There's 8 Mile. There's like a 3 mile stretch of Telegraph and Michigan Avenue. Those are the. That's for the main. Yeah, if you want the good lap dances, you want the hooker. Stripper to do the nasty stuff. Those are the ones you go to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that any of us know anything about that firsthand. It's just all wild speculation on our part, by the way.
Strip
I have no
bar?
idea. It's a stripped down bar?
They take their clothes off there? What? What happens?
You don't really do we have any shit like north of 8 Mile though? Like I know south, if you keep going south,
you get the Port Huron, you got the Voo.
You'll hit like Henry VIII, where you'll see like
Yeah.
Nasty, overweight chicks.
The C-section scar that looks like Leatherface and his chainsaw gave her the operation.
There's the traffic light in Mount Clemens.
Oh, is there? I didn't know that Mount Clemens had a strip joint.
Oh yeah.
If you go into the Thumb area, there's one strip club I know of, and the reason I know of it is because I have an ex from that area, and that strip club is legendary for the one-legged stripper that has worked there for like 20 years. And I'm like, that's your claim to fame? That's the strip club with the one-legged stripper. So that's what you get when you get outside of the city. It's the quality of strippers you get.
Wait, I have questions. Like, does she have a prosthetic off? Is that part of her act? Is removing the prosthetic? Can I touch the
stump?
nub?
You're gonna get some dude with a stump fetish in there. I have no idea, man. I never went in there. The first time I heard it, I was like, okay, all right. It's like when someone first time went, hey, you want to go snipe hunting? I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not falling for that shit. And then everyone was like,
let me go grab
no.
my bacon stretcher.
Everyone was like, no, dude, for real. There's a one-legged stripper in there. Like, we've been in there. It's the only strip club in this area. That's where you go for the bachelor party if you want to go to a strip club and you're from this area. And I'm like,
that's the gag strip that you get for the bachelor. Then is the one-legged chick.
I guess. I mean,
Man.
I imagine her pole tricks are limited. She only's got one leg to wrap around it.
They got to be limited. I mean, what do you dance to? Is it always jump around?
I don't know. I can jump around
To show support for her fellow
Christ.
to show support for her fellow amputees, she only dances to Def Leppard.
What? And now, welcome to the stage, Eileen.
Like when she's had a bad week or her prosthetic, she puts on weight. She got to go back to her wooden one with a kickstand and shit. I mean, look, I've never met the. She could be the nicest lady ever. I know
she's been there for 20 years, probably not the youngest stripper in the joint.
Well, it's close because first time I heard about it was 99, so we're only 1 year away from that. I'm like, okay. But yeah, like I said, getting back to the serious thing, there are more serious concerns in my mind with recreational marijuana becoming legal, if it does, which if it doesn't, I want to recount. I'll do it myself. You know what I'm saying? I'll sit down in the hanging chads and put it up to the light.
Yeah. No, if this proposal was a candidate, that candidate would be like strutting like Mick Jagger right now. I don't think anyone thinks that this is not going to pass at this point.
Well, the only people I really see voicing a lot of discontent at the idea, to be honest with you, are online. And when you go to their profiles or their Facebook page, it's like, oh boy, yeah, you're solidly in the baby boomer camp. You're old. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of worries me because they do vote. They do vote.
Yeah, but that's where the hippies started.
Yeah, but the hippies sold out and became yuppies, man. That's why I'm just like all these, all these so politically woke activists and all this shit that are in the millennials. I'm like, someone will name your price soon. You'll sell out. You'll suck Satan's cock. We all do, one way or the other. Either that, or you'll die young, or you'll die in prison. So I don't know what to tell you. It's just how it works.
Are you gonna start doing motivational speeches, Rich?
Yeah, me and Tony Robbins. I'm gonna surf in on his front teeth.
I don't know. I think that I think it's going to pass because there's a lot more people that agree with like Rick Steves, who I guess is a popular travel writer, has a show on PBS. I wasn't aware of him until he started getting involved in the marijuana issue. But he's not a smoker, and he's just basically like, this is just a personal freedom that that people shouldn't be restricted from doing. Like, show me why people should be restricted from smoking marijuana is basically his stance. Unless you can't, then this should be legal.
Exactly. To me, it's just like the gay marriage issue. I don't have to be gay or want to get married to know that if you want to get married, you should have every right to.
Or like prostitution. I will probably never pay for sex, but I don't have an issue with people who do, and it should just be legal.
Well, yeah. I mean, as long as everybody's consenting, the problem with that is, and you get people who are like, I don't know, they watch too many of these, like, you know, murder porn shows like Dateline or 48 Hours, human trafficking. And I feel like that there's a preemptive strike against anybody bringing up legalized prostitution, because more and more I'm seeing my conservative friends and family bring up, you know, human trafficking for the sex industry. And I'm like, as a musician, musicians and strippers tend to go together. And I was pretty involved, or not involved, I won't say, but peripherally, I was standing next to that world for a decade, and I didn't see a lot of like, bitch, get in there, make my money. You know what I'm saying? It was usually,
right. Well, where's human trafficking happening? It's not happening in Las Vegas.
Yeah, somehow I doubt the Moonlight Bunny Ranch is full of people that were kidnapped from fucking Ukraine or some shit.
Right, unless they got girls there hiding there. I've seen a TV show, and all those girls look pretty thrilled to be there.
Yeah, it's usually more like, this is way better than waiting tables.
Exactly.
Or fucking trying to walk the streets somewhere.
Yeah.
Or having a real pimp. I know that, like, people refer to, what's his name? Guy, and he just died recently.
Oh, Dennis Hoff.
Dennis Hoff, yeah. He's talking about, America's pimp, and he's a pimp and pimp. Yeah, okay. Technically, I guess he's a pimp, but I didn't hear any reports of him smacking bitches around or holding anyone against their will. No, you can't lead the bunny ranch. You work for me.
He was a job creator.
Get out there and earn.
It's bottom line.
Defend his character like he is.
No, I'm with you, but he's the one job creator most Republicans wouldn't touch to defend with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know, you could be Bernie Madoff, and they'll still have something good to say about you. But Dennis Hoff, no, I can't defend that. No. Unless if Trump does a rally at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, you will see evangelical Christians singing the praises of the Moonlight Bunny Ranch. That's how convinced I am of his cult of personality with these people. And that's kind of something that when we were talking about, you know, the two-party system, I kind of feel like the more I think about it, Trump was kind of like an independent that just ran in and took over a party that was willing to sell its soul because they were so pissed off about 8 years of Obama. Because the old guard of the GOP do not like Trump, do not like him. They're like, you are a national embarrassment to us, period.
No, but if he can, you know, enact some kind of change like overturning Roe v. Wade, then they will ride those coattails for as long as they can.
Yeah, unfortunately. And he's installed the court that might actually do it. Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court that would go, we're going to overturn that. It's crazy. I don't know. Not because I don't want to get too deep into the people running here in Michigan. There are a handful of people who I'm like, you know what? I'm still on the fence. It's probably going to be like, as I'm in line to vote, I'm going to make up my mind whether I'm even going to cast a vote for them. But there are a few people I could see myself voting for, because even though I was being an asshole about it, the pros outweigh the cons. Not by much, but I guess that's my criteria. You know, I can't just have like a handful of pros and a 53-foot trailer full of cons and vote for someone with good conscience. Mm-hmm. You know, the scale has to be tipped in the pros' favor. And there's just not that many candidates. It's like there's one lady running who basically took the city of Detroit to task for the 10,000 untested rape kits they found in various police station basements. And I'm like, yeah, that's fucking ridiculous. Why haven't they been tested? How many rapists could we get off the street how many innocent people sitting in prison could be freed due to these rape kits being tested. But then she says, I hear her say shit like, well, the burden of proof to prove sexual assault is too high. We need to lower it. Wait, what? How low you want to lower this?
Right.
To where someone says, I was raped and that's it? That's not how our justice system works. And if in no other subject would that be acceptable to say about. Not murder, not theft, not drug dealing, none of it. You can't just say, this happened 30 years ago, throw that person in prison. That is not how it works. So yes, that does worry me. And here's the irritating thing anytime I express that to people. Well, unless you're a rapist, what do you got to worry about? Really? Thanks for putting me in the Kafka trap yet again. So unless I completely agree with you, I'm a rapist apologist and possible rapist.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the stance you're going to take, and you expect me to fucking cast a vote for you? Not happening. Because it's not realistic. That's pandering.
Mm-hmm.
It's pandering to a subject that is hot, that is in the headlines right now, and doing so and letting it fly in the face of the legal system we have in place.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand the logic behind that being a reasonable response to people not believing accusers. Right? I mean, that's the real issue here is that traditionally, this is getting new attention, but this is a fairly traditional stance for people in this country to take. It's generally not want to believe people are accused of being sexually assaulted. For whatever reason, identify with this person, I like this person's work or whatever, or they seem like a stand-up dude, or that person, that woman seems like she's kind of slutty, or, whatever ridiculous reason they may have. But I don't see how lowering the standard below like what you would for any other crime would be a solution to that problem at all. And I don't see what in recent events has shown you that would make any difference.
And there's just something very
to anyone.
There's just something very Animal Farmish about it. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Mm-hmm. Well, everybody's word carries the same weight in a court of law, except for people that we really want their vote. So we're going to make theirs carry a lot more weight than people that we've just given up trying to get your vote. That's what it comes off as to me. And I can't swallow that medicine, man. I'm going to spit that in the face of the person who tries to force it down my throat every time.
And really, I mean, what is the point? The only point of bringing this up is because it is the hot button issue that people their ears are going to perk up when they hear it. But unless you're actually talking about enacting some sort of legislation, what is the point of making it part of your platform? Because that's...
Now, whether or not it's realistic, I guess, is up for debate. Mm-hmm. But you have a lot of the so-called more progressive candidates running on this issue, that we're going to lower the standard for burden of proof for sexual assault victims. Yeah. We're going to stack the deck in the favor of the accuser versus the accused. Now, whether they can do it or not, I'm not comfortable giving them a shot at it. I'm just not.
No, I understand.
But my other choice is people who don't give a shit one way or the other.
Right.
So it's, once again, it's, hey, I can fuck you in the ass or I can throat fuck you. Which one would you like? How about neither?
Yeah.
Can't I get a loving hand job every once in a while?
Yeah.
Eye contact,
This is something that bugs me about political debates in general that we hear every time leading up to an election. And this came up because I was listening to NPR this morning on my way to work, and they were talking about, forgive me, I didn't know about her until this morning. I don't remember her name, but some dark horse candidate that has entered the race is because she wasn't even on the ballot. But for some reason is getting some attention. But she was asked some questions about like, she wants certain policies and you want to provide health care and you want to lower insurance rates. You want to do this and that. And the question always came back to like, how are you going to pay for this? And that comes up a lot in political debates. Like you say that, you think taxes should be this much and that we should spend this much on these programs. Oh, you're just going to magically, how do you pay for it? How do we pay for anything? Like that is such a ridiculous argument. First of all, if you're not talking to an incumbent politician, then how the fuck are they supposed to know how they're supposed to pay for it? They're not even in the fucking job yet. The money comes from somewhere, right? I mean, this idea that you have to prove if you're going to make an issue part of your platform as a politician, and that is going to involve the expenditure of some tax funds, that you have to like show people where you're going to be taking this money from. Oh, it's going to come from these programs, or we're going to cut this, or we're going to raise this. How the fuck would you even know? And it's not that simple either, is it? I mean,
I think it's more people like to know what your plan is.
Yeah, that is the plan. The plan is like, let's just use healthcare, for example. My plan is I want more people to have more healthcare. How are you going to pay for it? Who gives a fuck? That should be the answer, right? It's like how any family budgets. Certainly you have a certain amount of income that you bring in. You have things that need to be spent on, and hopefully those line up for you. But there are certain things that are just going to trump everything else, right? I have to have a car and I have to have insurance to drive the car so that I can get back and forth to work without being pulled over, right? Those are things that, where's that money going to come from? How am I going to afford that car? It doesn't fucking matter. It has to be paid for, or else all this rest of the shit, it goes out the window. There's no more job and no more income anymore anyway. So it's like, if the issue is that important, it doesn't matter where the money comes from.
Well, it's also the same people who, the minute you bring up anything about healthcare, et cetera, I come from, are the same people that were just at every pro-war rally pre-2003, and I never heard them asking, how are we going to pay for all this war?
But it matters because the money comes from us.
And ready to go.
No, it does. No, okay, let me make myself a little more clear. If this person is in office and still can't tell me where the money is going to come from for their plan, now we have issues. But to run on a platform of what you think is important and what values and what policies you want to see in place, the money's not important at that level. What we want to know first, what I want to know first as a voter, are what are the issues that you think are important? Where do you want to enact change? I don't have to see a balanced budget before. I
get what you're saying. Until you know where the money comes from, fuck it. Say you're going to do whatever.
Right. I mean, an honest answer from a non-incumbent politician should be, how should I know where the money's coming from? All I know is that it seems to be spent improperly a lot of places, and when we get in there, we'll figure it out, and we'll make it work in our favor.
Well, I mean, you don't really hear about it as much anymore, but to me, the Trump's version of, single-payer healthcare is the wall, because we're going to build it, and Mexico's going to pay for it. We're not building it. Mexico's not paying for it, and it's something to get people fired up. But ultimately, what the fuck's going to happen? What, a couple dozen miles of 20-foot walls are going to go up. They're going to they're going to do photo ops in front of it, act like it's, that all of a sudden the southern border of the United States is completely walled off when it's really not.
No, I mean, he's already running on it, all this campaigning that he's doing, which is, for the midterms, but really this is just a continuation of the same ego boost rallies that he's had ever since before he was elected and even after. But really, it's about his 2020 campaign. It's really about Trump. And he's running on, we're building the wall. Hey, you're building the wall. If your definition of building the wall is we have some blueprints, we have some prototypes, people have made some examples for us to take photos of, there's been no section of the wall built anywhere. But he's already running on, we are building the wall.
And earth movers come in, move some dirt around.
And, people will vote on that issue because even if they don't believe that any portion of the wall, well, at least he's talking about it, because they think that if you listen to Trump, the alternative is Democrats who want open borders, which show me an example of a Democrat. What does a Democrat that wants open borders look like? Because I haven't seen one.
Open borders, to me, is more of a libertarian stance than a democratic stance.
It's an anarchic. Is that a word? Stance? Not Antarctic.
Not Antarctica stance. But no,
they have open borders, so nobody wants to live there. Why would anyone draw a border around that shit?
You're free to move there now. Go. With the caravans ain't heading there. They're like, nope, no, we're good. But no, seriously, to me, the Democrats, from everything I've heard, except for the crazies, the outliers, they support a streamlined path to citizenship, whereas a lot of the Republicans are like, no, we need to take in select people, a select number of people, and they need to be the right type of people. Mm-hmm. And as much as I hate the term dog whistle racism,
yeah. Why don't you just say white?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, oh, you're from Europe? Come on in.
Well, doesn't it seem like the Democrats and Republicans were actually getting a lot closer together on the issue of immigration until Trump came into office? Like under Obama, there was a lot of work towards immigration reform, and there was a lot of what people considered progress on both sides.
Well, even as far back
and then Trump was like, oh well, Trump's going to come in and he's going to solve all this.
Well, Trump can't.
What has he really done? I mean, you can do small things like station some troops at the border so that this wild pack of people that are half, Islamic terrorists that are going to charge our border can be fended off. I mean,
the thing that Trump did well is he paired, because as far back as 2008, McCain was talking about, maybe build a wall along the southern U.S. the U.S.-Mexico border. Mm-hmm. And people were like, golf clap.
Right.
Trump came out and said, no, look, they're not sending us their brightest and best. Have you seen Scarface? That's who they're sending. They're sending Tony Montana. All right. And that was enough to have, first of all, people in Kansas like, oh my God, they're going to come for me. No one wants to take over Kansas. This whole country could be invaded. They'd leave you the fuck alone, okay? First of all. Second of all, no, that's not realistic. It's not like this is like, a big ball of angry humanity eating the countryside as it rolls towards America.
No!
These are people. Yeah, it's not the
devouring Langoliers. Everything in its path like a pack of locusts.
Yeah, it's not the Langoliers. It's a bunch of fucking people who are starving and are desperate to get the fuck out of the situation they're in, to take a shot to come to a country where they might better their situation. Are they doing it the wrong way? That's debatable. But you know what? Sending 15,000 troops down to the border to stop what? 1,500 people? Really? What are you going to do? You going to give them that order? You're going to lower the bar for rules of engagement. You're going to remove the bar and say mow them down before they cross the border? Is that what we're ready to do as a country? Because that's not a good look for us for the rest of the world.
I think it was today he was asked by someone in the press about what the military is expected to do down there at the border, and he was saying like, oh, we don't expect any violence, and we, basically saying we're not going to start anything. But if somebody, he's like, let me tell you, if somebody throws a rock, getting hit in the face with a rock is not that much different from getting shot at. I'm like, okay, but if I get to pick, like, I'm going with the rock every day, right?
Yeah, I have a better shot of healing from a head wound from a rock than from a fucking AR-15. Yes,
right. So I mean, he's basically giving the okay. Like if there's rocks thrown, then feel free to retaliate, which is ridiculous.
And that's the type of shit that's going to get. That's really going to get shit started.
And you know what drives me nuts too is Fox News is constantly reporting on this as a pack of roaming illegals. They haven't even done shit yet. They're not even here yet. How could they already be illegal?
Yeah.
Like, it's debatable whether a person can even be classified as illegal. But beyond that, they're not even here yet.
Yeah. So,
And by the way,
you can't be you can't commit an illegal act without committing a crime. You can't be, you know what I'm saying, a criminal without a crime.
Right.
It's a boogeyman you can see. That's all it really is.
Yeah. I mean, most of these people are going to seek asylum in Mexico, actually. It's estimated that there's going to be less than 1,000 that actually approach our borders. And again, not storm the border. They're coming to seek asylum. There's nothing illegal about coming to this country and seeking asylum. There's nothing guaranteed in it, and they may yet be turned away.
Well, it's also the problem is that the people that are getting themselves and allowing themselves to get worked up about this caravan are the same people who think that, you know, the bombs being sent was a false flag operation to drum up sympathy and support for the Democrats before the fucking midterm elections. They're not even in reality. They are so deep in the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory, you can't reach them. Like they are literally convinced that not half, over half of that caravan has been infiltrated by Muslim extremists who want nothing more than to come here and kill people. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Chris?
Roving band of ISIS. Hey, don't mind us.
Yes.
We're just regular Mexicans. We are not ISIS.
We are not ISIS. Que pasta?
Don't mind us.
This pack of guys with like turbans on with a sombrero sitting on top of it, and they got maracas.
Yeah, right.
Big fat guitars, like all dressed up like mariachi.
They got a paste-on mustache.
They're all playing Middle Eastern scales and shit.
Yeah.
Like they get across the border and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeehaw. That's what I meant to say. America number.
I am looking for, how you say, Home Depot.
No, well, if it's anything like the Metro Detroit area, if they do make it into the country and it is half people from the Middle East, there's going to be a whole lot of new party stores opening up in
their
the South.
family's already here waiting for them anyway.
Well, in the Southwest.
Could you imagine, let's just say in some fantasy world where there's this lost city in South America that suddenly the rest of the world discovers, right? And it's full of white people. I mean, fucking snow white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes.
Khakis everywhere.
Fucking Hitler's youth is living in the middle of South America in some remote city for some reason. This whole city full of them, right? And they need to leave. And they start trekking their way up towards America to seek asylum. We would be sending fucking helicopters down to pick their asses up.
Hey, let's get them here. Let's bring the property value up.
This country where they belong. Honestly.
Let's drop them into Brooklyn. They'll gentrify it.
Am I wrong, though?
No, you're absolutely right. I'm just thinking of the Eddie Griffin bit where he's like, technically, black people have been hostages in this country for 450 years. White people, I got to give it to you. You got hostages, don't matter if it's 2. You go get them. He's like, I've been waiting almost 500 years. Not one dude in a canoe with a spear had shown up to rescue me.
Oh, shit.
And I'm just like, it's kind of true. But, hey, season 5 of The Wire, that was the subtext of that season. No one gives a shit because why? Lester Freeman in the show said it. He said if 300 middle-class white kids were killed every year in Baltimore, the U.S. Army would put the 101st Airborne on constant duty on the streets of Baltimore. It's because these are poor black kids and they're dead in the wrong area. That's it. And it's the absolute truth. If Trump has done anything to really dig himself a hole, in my opinion, with earning any of the white supremacist talk that is thrown at him constantly, and I do truly believe some of it is just you're jumping at shadows. Calm the fuck down. There's enough real shit to get pissed off about. You don't have to make shit up about the guy.
Right.
But it is the fact that he's like, oh yeah, he sings the praises of European immigrants. He loves that.
He marries them.
If you're from the right countries in Europe and you happen to look a certain way.
Well, right. What do you say? We need less people from Africa and more people from Scandinavia. It basically just came out and said it.
And Scandinavians are like, we got it good where we're at.
Yeah.
Why would we come to America where you guys?
Why do we want to come to your shithole country?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's probably the truth. If aliens exist, they probably treat us like the fucked up planet tour. Like, we can fly by it, but we're not landing. They're killing each other over black and white. We're purple. What the fuck you think they're going to do to us? But they come by America and this is the failed experiment. This is where everybody put their hopes in, and then they just got they got dashed in about 250 years. It is all fucked up down there. So take your look, because we're not landing. Let's go. Seriously, why? When he said that, I was like, well, you dug your fucking hole, bro. You knew what you were doing. You knew that you stuck that shovel in the dirt. And here's the thing: he don't care. He does not care. Absolutely, and he does not give a shit. So, but then again, I can't get on the whole. Everything he does is some like oh my god. I got one friend who posts these articles that he gives secret signals to white supremacists during his speeches or when he's talking to the press. These are the same people that somehow think making the okay sign with your hand means white power. Like these type of people. Like they see the boogeyman behind every fucking tree, and I'm just like, you know what you're doing? You're discrediting your own fucking point. Because people are looking at you shaking their head going, you're an idiot. Really? You're an idiot. Right.
You're whatever the opposite of QAnon is.
Yeah, exactly.
And the opposite of QAnon isn't like smart, well thought out, intelligent. The opposite of QAnon is just the same radical nonsense, just on the other side.
Well, and once I hear that from a person, it's really hard for me not to just shake my head in a very dismissive manner towards them. I've told this story on Sporgy once. I was in a band with a guy for a couple of years. Great musician, great guy, highly intelligent, well-read. And we, at an after party after a show, we sat down and started talking, and the subject of conspiracies came up. And this person, who I had respected up to this point, very calmly sat there and explained to me how every person in power is a lizard person.
Yeah, this story.
And they meant that shit. They were dead serious about it. I could not shake them. I started laughing and went, oh, you got me. Okay, that's a good one, because that was the last place I thought you were going. And they're like, no, I'm dead serious. Here, let me show you. And they went to my buddy's computer, and they're like, look, you can see their inner eyelid when they blink. And I'm like, oh my God, you are nuttier than squirrel shit. You are fucking crazy. And I don't want to be in a band with you anymore. That level of crazy is dangerous, because you never know when they're going to snap and have a psychotic episode.
Oh my God, you might own a firearm.
He wasn't that type, thank God. I'd have been worried. But yeah, no, I feel bad a little bit, but it's like, when I see that you fall for every fucking Breitbart or InfoWars or, I don't know what the Jezebel or the Root.com article, when you fall for it hook, line, and sinker, I'm just like, I lost so much respect for you, man. I can't even look at you the same. Like, if you were critical of it, like if you brought it, like if they would even bring up the article and be like, there's a lot of bullshit in here, but there's also some truth. And this is what I think is truth. And this is what I think is a bunch of bullshit. I would accept that. But it's just open your mouth, close your eyes, and you're going to swallow whatever I give you to swallow. And they do it with a smile. And those true believers, I got no space in my life for them, because those motherfuckers will have you dressing up in 97 black and all black Nikes, drinking Kool-Aid and waiting for the meteor to come to take you back to planet whatever the fuck.
Damn.
And I can't deal with it. It's hard enough dealing with people who believe in fucking angels and invisible people and Jews coming back from the dead.
They got to bring in lizards.
Honestly, it seems this shit with like any of this shit, the lizard people, flat Earth, any of this nonsense conspiracy theories, fake moon landings, like I have to believe. I think I have to believe this, because otherwise, then I'll lose all faith for humanity in general. I have to believe that these started out as trolls. As like, just seeing what people would actually believe. I don't think that whoever started this lizard people nonsense, I don't think actually believed it. I think they just were like, I bet you people will believe anything. Watch this. I'm going to start spreading lizard people rumors. I don't know. Well, it's like
there's that optimism again.
My favorite hate follow on Twitter, Jacob Wohl, made his big move this week. I don't know if you guys heard the story about some possible accusations of sexual assault against Robert Mueller.
No.
Haven't heard that.
Yeah. And you guys have heard me mention Jacob Wohl's name before, but basically this is just, he's a kid. I mean, he's like 20 years old or something, I think. And he got some popularity a couple of years ago because he was seen as like some kind of whiz kid genius investor, and turned out that it was all bullshit. That he wasn't rich. He didn't. He just made all this shit up, basically, right? So then he moves on to politics, and he's like every hour on Twitter that he's awake, it's something that is just like 100% towing the line for Trump, right? Never has anything bad to say. It is pushing every single crazy ass conspiracy. He wants to know, what happened to Seth Rich, and he's all over the fucking the child porn ring and the pizzerias and all this shit.
This guy and Tom Arnold should get together,
right? He's kind of the Tom Arnold's opposite, and. I'm reading his tweets mostly because he's somebody who's going to repeat all of this nonsense. So it's kind of like collating it all in one space for me. I can follow Jacob Wohl, so I don't have to follow 99 idiots. I can just follow this one that's going to retweet everything.
He's going to distill it down for you.
Right. But, this guy is clearly just an opportunist, and I can't believe that he believes some of the shit that he tweets. I mean, just literally like Trump was handed down to us by God. And so then this, I saw like one story about, there's going to be there's going to be a claim of sexual assault that Robert Mueller did against somebody that he worked with in the past, and turns out that this is from Jacob Wohl and some partner crime that he has. And they had set this whole thing up where they actually got found out before they could even have their press conference on it, because they were basically shopping around they were contacting people that Robert Mueller had worked with in the past and offering them money to make up claims against him. And it seems like not only has their whole plan fallen apart, but this issue has now been referred to by the FBI. So it looks like they're actually going to be investigated. But I mean, they even actually had the balls to show up for a press conference where they had no accuser show up. And they said, oh, well, she was going to be here, but she feared for her life. So she went back home, and then had a press conference about like nothing, because they had no facts and nothing to say really. And and Jacob Wohl's partner, who was standing next to him, unfortunately not in front of the podium, had his fly down the whole press conference. just as symbolism, I guess, of the whole process. But I don't know. That was amusing to me to finally see. Like I knew this kid had to be brewing something, and to see it blow up in his face was quite delightful, I have to admit.
Well, sometimes life just hands you a moment, doesn't it? You're just like, okay, here we go. I do think it's funny that dude's standing there with his fly down the whole time. You got Trump walking around with toilet paper stuck to his shoe. Yeah, you guys can't get it together on the right, can you? Wait, what's going on in the bathrooms when you're in there to where you forget to check for the most basic shit to do when you leave, you know? Is my dick hanging out? Is there toilet paper on my shoe? No, I can leave the bathroom. You know?
Yeah, but that's a big deal. We're running everything.
Right.
I guess.
You guys worry about my shoe. I'm going to go back to running everything.
Well, yeah, look, if you're Einstein, I'm going to forgive you for your leaving your fly down or not combing your fucking hair.
What?
But otherwise,
Einstein, though.
Yeah. Otherwise, you really don't have an excuse.
And whatever, it is petty.
It is petty.
Like, it's like when the I still can't believe this was a fucking story. The tan suit. Like, just,
God.
Dude, really? Okay, we get it. Or the he saluted improperly
with
a cup in his hand, and then instantly the internet, who was undefeated, dug up a picture of W getting off of Air Force One with a dog in his hand, saluting all fucked up, trying to carry the dog, and is like, so you can shut up now. And I'm like, yeah, that's to me, that's the fun pettiness of politics. That's the, it's not, none of these issues are going to hurt anybody. That's the shit you get in you be petty about. Not shit that like is going to grind this country to a halt or drive it into the ground, because if it won't go my way, I'd rather see it destroy it if it's not going to be my way 100%. Like, that's the dangerous attitude. And that's the attitude that bothers me. Chris, when you sent that article, I think his name was Finley, who wrote it for the Detroit News.
Nolan Finley?
Yeah, it's like, we just like hating each other. We just hate each other. That's all there is to it, basically. He broke it down, and it's the truth. There is no more conversation at this point for the hardcore true believers. There's nothing that can be said to change their minds. And there's no great uniter coming over the hill that anybody can see either. And it's frustrating for people who are like, God damn it, do you not see the potential we have? And we're pissing it away with this bullshit? I mean, that to me is the biggest fucking disappointment in all of this. Like, yeah, I obviously didn't want Trump in office. Wasn't exactly thrilled on election night 2016. But becoming what you hate and doing the exact same thing except for your side that you chastise the other side for doesn't help either. It just lowers the bar for everybody to the point where anything goes. And it does now. I mean, everybody's fair game. If you're a politician, you're out in public and you're eating, and you got your crew with you, or whatever the fuck they call it, because I doubt they call them their posse, entourage maybe, I don't know. And someone wants to, half the restaurant wants to stand up and start screaming at you and yelling and chase you out the place. That's perfectly fine now. That's perfectly fine until it happens to your side. Then that's a travesty. That is disgusting what happened to civility in this country. Have some dignity. But when we do it, it's perfectly fine. That's the level of maturity we're dealing with here.
Yeah, it's good times. Join me in I like the term I heard the other day. Join me in the exhausted majority.
Well, I heard a term on Bill Maher, I think last week, that I was like, boom. I'm doing my best to phase out the term social justice warriors and just start calling them what he calls them. They're scolding justice warriors. They're just there to yell at you. That's it. They have no answers. They just want to go problem. And when you go, okay, you got my attention. What are we going to do about it? Oh, fuck, I didn't think that far ahead. Another problem. just shut the fuck up. Lead follower, get the fuck out of my way, dude.
Interested in solutions, put them out of work.
Exactly. Boom. Exactly. And and what was it? He did something that only heretics do these days. He started off his final new rule going after the right, basically saying how easily triggered and offended they are. And what happened to them used to be in the party of the stiff upper lip and pull yourself up by your bootstraps and the strong silent type, Gary Cooper type people. And now you're just a bunch of pathetic, sniveling, whining cunts. Worse than any fucking bleeding heart liberal hippie douche ever was. And then he moved on to the fucking left and said, and you people who call yourself woke, you're not woke, you're worthless. Shut the fuck up. Let people fucking dress up as Pocahontas if they fucking want to. Let people dress up as a ninja if they want to for Halloween. It's not cultural appropriation. It's you making a big deal out of fucking nothing and distracting us from issues that deserve our attention.
Right. Or it is cultural appropriation and it doesn't fucking matter.
Well, that's why I said I've been watching the Conners, and this episode was a Halloween episode, and they did something I didn't think they were going to do. The episode starts that they're all in their costumes and stuff, and Mark, the gender fluid kid, I guess they haven't really defined what he is yet. They've hinted at he might be gay or bisexual, but they haven't really.
He's pre-gay.
Fully committed. He's pre-gay, yes.
It hasn't set fully in yet.
Yeah.
There's still time.
Yeah. But yeah, he comes down and he's in his costume and he's dressed up as a Fortnite character, the Fortnite video game. And he's like, I can't wear this to school. I just got told when I showed my buddy my costume that I'm not allowed to wear anything that promotes violent video games. And, the school sent you an email, didn't you get it? And Darlene looks at it and is like, no, I didn't get that. Well, we'll figure something out. And then the school's having a Halloween carnival. So 2 days later, he dresses up as Frida, the artist. I can't remember her last name off the top of my head.
Frida Kahlo?
Frida Kahlo?
Yes. As the artist. I mean, and let's be honest, the kid goes to school in girl clothes anyways.
I think you should ooh both of us for that, by the way.
Yeah, ooh! I see both of you got majors in art appreciation. But no.
Well, I didn't major, but.
Ooh! There we go.
The bitch from the movie where they uglied up Selma
I
Hayek.
think where they gave her one eyebrow.
But yeah, and so he shows up.
Can't ugly up those titties, though.
She's 50-something. She looks better than most 20-somethings. Ooh, boy. Anyways, he shows up at the carnival, and they're like, we can't let you in. Why? Because that costume's cultural appropriation. And Darlene goes, what? And the principal goes, you're not a Latino woman.
What was she
you
supposed
haven't
to be?
earned right. You haven't earned the right to dress up as this character. And she goes, it's not cultural appropriation, it's cultural appreciation. He respects her as an artist and as a person. That's why he dressed up as her. And he's like, well, either he has to change or you're not coming in. And she's like, well, you know what? Basically, go fuck yourself. And gave him, an earful of Darlene. I was like, whoa, I didn't expect him to go that route. To actually argue against. No, this is not cultural appropriation. One, it's Halloween and it's children dressing up. Two, it's a kid dressing up as someone he admires and respects. You see a problem with it because you want to see a problem with it. You refuse to see it for what it is. And you interject your intentions onto the situation, how you feel the situation is, and your feelings aren't facts, jackass. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, I didn't expect that because let's be honest, it is a show that lost its main character for not being politically correct enough. So I figured they were going to toe the line. Mm-hmm. They're straddling it, so good for them.
That's interesting. I almost feel sympathy, though, for, the principal and him representing the institution, because, this is fiction, but this happens in real life, and when it does, it's not happening in a void, right? Those people are reacting to this gotcha culture. So they have to evaluate every decision as, is there even a hint of impropriety or, not being politically correct? in this decision? If so, I'm going to stay all the way away from it. I'm not going to go anywhere near it. Which means that we're letting the extreme weirdos of our society dictate our culture.
Well, I mean, it's...
Yeah, and by extreme weirdos, I mean people who get personally offended by Pocahontas costumes.
Yeah, so what if they want to dress up as Elizabeth Warren for Halloween? Let them do it.
Oh, see what you did there.
But no, it's nonsense on both sides, and it's the idiots we're allowing to dictate the conversation. This is how I felt when I watched Elizabeth Warren try to get into a verbal sparring match and a dick waving contest with Trump over, her bloodline. And I'm just like, why would you even open this can of worms, you stupid bitch? Just keep your mouth shut and let him talk.
Right.
You're not going to change his supporters' minds, and the only thing she did was divide her own supporters.
It was ridiculous she even bought it. I mean, it would be as if Trump was like, "Oh yeah, well I can beat you in an arm wrestling contest," and she just fucking whipped her jacket off, rolled up her sleeve, and was like, "Let's go." Like,
and what's funny
what are you trying to prove here?
Yeah,
this is
he doesn't even want to win.
With,
he just wants to control the conversation, even if it's not going his way. He just wants to control the conversation.
Absolutely, that is just nothing more than I'm going to dictate the conversation and pull the rug out from under you and keep you fucking doing like the cartoon while they're running in place trying not to fall down. Basically, he went, dance, monkey. Actually, no, what he went was, here's $1, dance, bitch. And she went, okay. She works hard for the money.
Oh, by the way, I got a little piece invested in the DNA service that you used to find that out. So thanks for that.
She put a couple pennies in your pocket?
Yeah. Well, no, I just mean with Trump, that's the kind of shit he would do. Oh, hey, cool.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Thanks for the pennies, Pocahontas.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm with you, Aaron. I can't wait for this fucking election cycle to be over, but here's the problem. Trump's figured out that he loves the campaign trail. He campaigns all the time. He has not stopped campaigning since his first rally. I mean, this is just what he does.
What's he doing? He has to stop being president.
I think
he's going to have celebrations of how great his 8 years were. He's just going to hold a rally every few months.
Yeah, I think you're going to see what you're seeing with Obama and Michelle Obama right now. I'm sure he will be newly divorced once he's no longer president.
Right.
But it's going to be him going out and stumping for people who still sing his praises. Now, will there still be people willing to throw their fucking, jump on the Trump bandwagon and throw their weight completely behind him? I don't know. Take away the presidency from him, and all he is a loudmouth jackass. It's not like he can ever run for president again. So there's no point in sucking up to him once he's out of power.
Well, also, I think that this is going to work against him in 2020. If he's constantly campaigning throughout all 4 years of his presidency, what are those campaign rallies going to look like at the end of that? I mean, it's like the Stones doing a farewell tour, but they don't fucking stop.
Like
right?
John's current 3-year farewell tour?
Right. The first time around, everyone's like, yeah, we got to go see the Stones. We might never get this opportunity again. Third, fourth time they're back in town, you're like, whatever. I've seen that show. And Trump isn't offering anything new at his show. He is just trotting out the greatest hits. I swear to God, they should just fucking roll that, the scroll of the songs, when they do like the K-Tel collections, and they'll show like all the songs that are on there.
They'll build that wall.
Right, like just right over top of him while he's doing his
They're bringing in drugs.
Right, they're not giving us their best people.
They're bringing in crime.
All that shit should just scroll over the screen while he's talking.
Grab him by the pussy.
And the smash hit, lock her up.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, look, eventually The Apprentice wasn't getting, it at one time was a highly rated show, sure. And then it just started to dive bomb because it was just the same old shit. And people got sick of it. People are going to get sick of this. They're attracted to Donald Trump for his entertainment value. But unless Donald Trump manages to magically reinvent himself in the next 2 years, I don't see how he's going to manage to maintain that kind of energy for his rallies. Now, whether that actually makes a difference to how people vote, I don't know. I don't know if you can. I mean, I think one would assume that a drop off in attendance at his rallies would equate to a drop off in his popularity, but you never really know.
Well, the people that go to Trump rallies, this was, I thought, a very good point that was brought up in a discussion they were having about, Trump and the people that go to the rallies. They're like, those rallies are like WWE events.
Right.
They go for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump is more than capable of still putting on the show. It's just when there's nothing at stake, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to have to,
right.
Once he's done being president, whether it's, in he gets voted out in 2020, or if he does a full 2 terms, there's no urgency there for him. So he's going to have to find a new drum to bang on, or else he's going to have to ramp up the entertainment value of it even more so. Which,
right.
To me, that's dangerous, because that's when, if he gets desperate enough, he will start fucking saying, oh, look, a lot of the people that used to come don't come, but I see a lot more people coming who are white nationalist or Aryan Brotherhood. So let me ramp up the rhetoric to get them fired up.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he still does have some tricks up his sleeve, but I don't know. I kind of feel like he's already lit his guitar on fire. Like, where is he going to go from here?
Yeah, he's done the Wild Man from Borneo act, but he doesn't have a band of gypsies in him down the line. Where he just stands there and just lays out a live album that's just fucking epic. And you're like, oh shit, didn't know it. You don't need the fucking the pyrotechnics. Got it. He needs that shit. Get him the lighter fluid.
Right. Trump is all pyrotechnics. He's all kicking over the drum set, but
he's Great White playing at that bar in Rhode Island. We need this pyro.
He's like Kiss.
He just wants to rock and roll every night, all night, and grab pussy every day.
Yes.
Needs the pyro and the makeup and tease the hair out.
Well, I do have to say that now that I've backed off quite a bit, but for like a 2-month period there, I was lurking on the Chan sites pretty heavily just to see what the fuck was going on.
Mm-hmm. It's addictive, though, isn't it? It's like picking a scab. And you're like, it's still there. It's still there. I gotta go look. I know they're saying dumb shit right now.
Oh, there's never a shortage of dumb shit. But like I didn't realize the amount of just pure anti-Semitism coming from the people on the far right. To me, hating the Jews are like hating, why? They're not, Jews aren't assholes like evangelical Christians. They don't come knocking on your door trying to convert you.
Right, yeah, they specifically don't proselytize.
Exactly. But they run most of the entertainment industry. Yeah, and you know what? At a point in time, the Irish ran most of the fucking first responders in New York City, police and firemen. So they eked out their corner of the world. And I mean, it's like getting mad at black people because there's too many black people in hip hop.
Too many black guys playing sports.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Can't stand all these black guys playing basketball. And I'm sure there's people out there that say that shit. I mean, and they got a shrine to Larry Bird built in their house somewhere.
Yeah.
Right next to their fucking swastika fucking flag. But I mean, it's like
basketball
serious
player.
I didn't realize how deep that hatred ran, and the conspiracy theories, no, they're running the world. They're the ones promoting race mixing. And you notice diversity means diversity for everybody but Jews. Jews have to stay separate from everybody. Their bloodline has to stay pure, but they want to mix us all up till we're just mutts. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And then you see something like this shooting at the synagogue, and you're like, there it is.
That's the thing about like the recent violence that we've seen. Well, not that there was any. It was violent intent from the man from Florida with the fucking Trump van, but thankfully no one was actually harmed by anything. But the idea that Trump is inciting violence, right? Show me the Florida man, and I go, yeah, I buy that. I see a direct line. This guy looks like, and from his actions, is acting in Trump's name, right? All the people that he mailed bombs to are people that Trump has specifically mentioned on Twitter, publicly at his rallies. And then the shooting happens at the synagogue. Everyone's like, see, this is just more of the same that we were talking about the guy, the bomber in Florida. No, it's not. It is, this is tapping into something that's way deeper into in this country than Trump. And Trump may have tried to, at times, siphon a little bit of that energy off for his own purposes. But if you're trying to blame Trump for anti-Semitism in the U.S., you haven't been paying fucking attention. And if you think that by voting him out, you can then go, oh, there we go, took care of the anti-Semites in this country, then you're going to be in for another surprise.
It's the same people that are like, well, you know what? We got a black president. Right. Racism's over.
Check. Let me get out my list here for America. Check off solve racism.
Mm-hmm. Done.
Got rid of Trump. Oh, solved anti-Semitism. There we go.
Yeah. First of all, the guy with the they couldn't even build a pipe bomb right. That guy. Oh Lord, that guy is just a fucking chuckle a second when you start digging into his history. Former stripper.
Love it. No, he was.
Did you see the glorious permed mullet he was rocking back in the day?
I don't even know if I would refer to him as a former stripper. What I got from his career was that he wanted to be a stripper, couldn't cut it, and ended up kind of acting like a manager for other male strippers.
Sure. All I know is he looked like he was in Trickster. I mean, homeboy had some powerful hair. He's all of like 5'1", and he's of course one of those guys who's 5'1" who's got to fucking work out to the extreme because he's that insecure about his height. He's got that Napoleon complex going. He drives around in a van that is all Trump and "Make America Great" rhetoric, and
it's got like Trump and lasers or some shit on it.
Yeah, and then there's like a sticker of Hillary and crosshairs. But then people who know him for 20 years, or like 10 years ago, he's driving around in a van that was all about Native American rights. And he's not even Native American. This is a guy who's been looking for issues to get pissed off about and has found them throughout the years. And this was the one that Trump was the gift that kept on giving to his fucking delusions. And he was delusional enough to sit down and try and say, I'm going to mail off 12 fucking pipe bombs or whatever the fuck it was. And he didn't even know what the fuck he was doing. I'm surprised he really didn't blow himself up. I mean, and if he would have, it'd have been like, no great loss. That's just how I feel. Like, all right.
I mean, it is possible that the pipe bombs were, quote unquote, were meant as a message. Maybe the idea was to send things that looked like they could explode but wouldn't. Maybe he didn't really want to cause any harm, but wanted to send out an intention that, I don't know. It's just a thought. Who knows what's truly in the man's mind? But the issue really isn't this one nutcase, is it? It's the rhetoric of our president.
Yeah, but while I agree that he is picking a scab, that wound was already there and scabbed over. These people are the type of people that are going to get that fired up by Trump's rhetoric are people who already had mental issues. This is like Charles Manson and listening and going, oh, I need to start a race war. You got the same message from the monkeys, jackass. All right? You were looking for an excuse to act like you fucking did. And this is your fucking excuse. Because millions of other people, whether they agree with Trump or not, have heard all the same rhetoric and haven't done any of this shit. I mean, it's like, remember when the guy shot up the congressional softball team and it was like, oh, this is a Bernie supporter. See, that's what that rhetoric gets you. And everybody laughed. Rightfully so laughed. Like, first of all, like Bernie's calling for violent revolution. Bernie? of all people, that hunchback motherfucker, no. He ain't leading shit. That's not what his message was. That dude was well off of Bernie's message when he did that. So don't even try to lay that at his feet. But this?
Yeah, but
I mean, how many times during rallies did we see Trump say shit like, yeah, beat him up. I'll pay your fucking lawyer tab.
Mm-hmm.
Hit him. Get him out of here. I mean, that type of shit, you're playing with fire. And you're standing in a puddle of gasoline. Don't be shocked when you go up in flames. Like, I can't lay it all at Trump's feet, but...
Okay, no, I get where you're coming from, and I think I'm right there with you. I mean, yeah, this guy was crazy, and crazy people are going to crazy no matter what. You know, Son of Sam didn't need a president telling him to go out and kill brunettes.
Wasn't that a dog anyway?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. It was the dog, like. Which basically means it was his brain, right? His brain was telling him to do bad things, and this guy's brain was telling him to do bad things. Now, he might got some ideas from President Trump, but you know,
I will say this: Trump provided him the target list,
right? But
these people are the ones you want to direct your anger at,
right? So I think logically, it's not that. Oh, if it wasn't for Trump, we wouldn't have guys like this. No, we're always going to have crazy. But that things that our president is saying is fueling some crazy wackos in this country. That's the issue.
Well, I mean, and then we can start tracing that back to, well, it's not like we have the best mental health care system set up in this country.
Yeah. It's
not like we have the most support for people who are, you know, their wires are crossed or you know, paranoid schizophrenics. You know, what do? Well, if your family doesn't give a shit or you don't have family to give a shit, eventually you're going to run afoul of the law. We're going to lock you up in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because that's going to help you, right? Because everybody gets reformed in prison, right? Get the fuck out of here. I mean, it's just... It's sad that people like that can slip through the fucking cracks to that point, but it's also to be expected in today's world because, and I mean, you know, I am very much guilty of this. I don't know how to surround myself with good people for the most part, like on whole. So I just isolate myself. Hold on. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to get too personal and name names, but you know what I'm saying? Like some people have come over and I've seen you know Aaron on the couch giving the side eye to him like, oh shit, thank God we ain't got any silverware for him to steal. It's like, you know.
I'm laying out some newspaper on the couch for them to sit down.
Like hide the good glasses, bring out the Burger King ones.
Yeah.
But no, so I kind of isolate myself off from a lot of people because it's the easier way of dealing with it. The difference is I hope I stay grounded enough not to end up climbing a clock tower with a sniper rifle. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people are capable of doing that and some people aren't. And in today's society, it's very easy to isolate yourself off. Mm-hmm. And if for some people it works, is what I'm getting at. Obviously, these people, it didn't. I mean, both the guy who shot up the congressional softball game and this pipe bomber jackass, you know, within a week we knew, you know, what they'd been doing on the internet, and right. All they did was just consume hateful media against the other side repeatedly. That's all they did. They sustained on that diet, and this is the end result. You know, I think it was Nancy Pelosi's daughter. I can never remember her full name. I know her last name is Pelosi. She did a documentary about a couple people who were just like hardcore Fox News supporters, and there was one older guy, and this was during the Obama presidency, and he just hated Obama. All he watched was Fox News, and he hated Obama. And his daughter begged him, please, just for like a month, don't watch Fox News. Just for a month. It doesn't mean watch CNN, watch MSNBC. Just don't watch Fox News.
Just take the funnel out of your mouth.
Yes. Just for a month and see how you feel. And it was past a month. he had stopped watching Fox News. He was like, I still disagree with him on a lot of his political views, but, he's not the devil I thought he was. And it's amazing, once you remove that hateful rhetoric, a 24/7 stream of bullshit into people's brains, how much clearer they can think. And I mean, I don't want to get into whether we're getting the media we deserve or we don't. The fact is, this is the media we have. And too many people binge on this shit, and that's all they fucking eat. Man, I love shrimp, but I can't eat shrimp every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, but these people, they don't even think twice about it. And I'm not saying that this type of shit, these type of acts are the end result, but for a certain type of person, it walks them pretty much up to that line. And then it's like, well, there's the edge. Do I jump over?
This is making me think of the episode of Kidding that I actually watched earlier today. And this is the Jim Carrey show that's on HBO, or I'm sorry, Showtime. And I mentioned it before, but I think I only watched like one episode. And I was like, this is kind of weird, and I don't know where they're going with this. I'm like ride or die for this show now. Like it, especially this last episode is kind of a flashback episode. And I was like sobbing, like not just got weepy. Like I had like someone just ran over my cat, fucking sobbing over this episode.
I'm glad I didn't come out of my room at that point and look at you, because I've been like, did you get your period? You okay?
And so like part of, and it's not really spoilers to say, but part of the plot of this episode was about a man who snaps. So Jim Carrey has this like kind of Mr. Rogers puppety kids show thing, and he's like world famous, and all kinds of people write to him. And one of them, sometimes he gets letters from inmates, and he likes to write back to them. And he's corresponding with this one inmate who's in jail for having 4 redheaded women inside of a Wendy's because they wouldn't round off his hamburger. That's the story. Like that's how they introduced this character, just through his letters. Like he went to a Wendy's, they gave him a square hamburger, he wanted a round one, they wouldn't round off the corners on his burger, and so he took a hammer and bashed in the skulls of every redheaded woman he could find.
Fuck you, Wendy.
Seems plausible.
And so, that's the crazy story, and this man is going to be put to death for it. And there's this whole debate over whether Mr. Pickles, his character, should show up. And he, his father, who's like his manager, also is telling him to stay away from it. But he gets involved with the family. He gets to know the son. He gets to know the guy's wife that he left behind. And he gets to hear the story from the kid's point of view, right? And he's talking about who his father was. He like had some menial job, like driving a school bus. He had this opportunity for promotion that he applied for and didn't get. And I guess it's not incidental. This is a black family. It's a black man who committed these murders. And he, what happened to him? He was talking to a coworker or something. They're like, "Did you follow up? Like, did you call back on your interview?" And he's like, "I don't even know what I didn't even know this was a thing, that you were supposed to follow up on an interview that that shows that you really want this job." And so he was using that as kind of an example of the way that his father felt kind of shut out from society. There's just certain things that, as a poor black person, you just don't have access to. You don't even have that information to know how to access it. And then goes to the Wendy's, can't get his round burger, snaps, right? And so he's talking to Mr. Pickles about this. He's telling him the story, and he says, "What do you think makes a person snap like that?" And Mr. Pickles' response is that everyone has a breaking point. And I don't know. I mean, I think I kind of agree with them. Like, these people who choose to commit these horrible acts, yeah, they are outliers. They are not the norm. But aren't they just created by their environment that they live in, that they were raised in, the family or the peer group or whatever have you? Well, aren't they just a product of our society? And in that way,
well, then now aren't we getting into
couldn't it have been any of us?
Nature versus nurture?
I guess that's the question. I mean, I think there's certain things that you can study about the brain and go, oh, well, these patterns look different than that, so this person's a psychopath. And that's just, he's just wired wrong. It's just like a disease that affects them. But I don't know if that's I don't know if that's the more common case. I think most of the violence that we see is strictly a product of the environment. And that's saying that, like, I moved to Florida and I start stickering up a van and sending out fake bombs. But if I lived that man's life, if I lived that man's life, I don't see how I would turn out any different.
You have a sweet van.
Driving around your Chomo-mobile. That thing did look like straight up a rape van. Like, I was like, oh. I'd have been leery of anybody even without the stickers. The stickers were just icing on top of the cake. I
would have made it out of the stripper, I bet.
You had that sweet permed mullet.
Yeah.
But no, I having had some, firsthand and friends and family experience with people who've been through some traumatic shit as a kid, I think the one thing that a lot of people do that they develop that go through that is the ability to, like, compartmentalize shit. Like, okay, I'm going to put this in this box in the corner of my mind, and I'm going to tuck it away. And every once in a while, it's going to get out the box. I'm going to have to chase it around and then put it back. But for the most part, it's just in the corner. I can't get rid of it. I can't throw it out, but I'm not going to let it become my main focus. And I think there's other people that are incapable of that. And that's, maybe it's an obsessive compulsive type person who just cannot stop obsessing about something.
And I'm still nurture on that type of stuff because I feel like you have to be taught that. Healthy brains are learned behavior from healthy families and healthy peer groups.
Well, absolutely. I mean, one of the things it took me a very long time to understand is that when you grow up with people who have, like, borderline personality disorder in your family, you kind of, like, you get a half-assed version of it yourself. And by that I mean this. You think the whole world works the way they work. So, and with borderline personality disorder, when you're dealing with a borderline person, they can go from loving you and you're the greatest thing 1 minute to absolutely despising you and hating your guts the next second. Mm-hmm. And it's like their outlook on the world is static. So if they hate you right now, they treat you like they've hated you forever. If they love you right now, they treat you like they've loved you forever. And when you grow up, and that's the two extremes you're presented with, and you go out into the world and realize people can, like, especially as a kid, you can be scolded by an adult. I'm not talking beat. I'm not talking cussed out. I'm talking, what are you doing? Stop what you're doing. You're going to hurt yourself or somebody else. And that doesn't mean they hate you. But to a little kid raised in that environment, it's just like, why are you fucking attacking me? Because that's all they know. So absolutely that fucks with you. And I mean, that's something that I know people well into like their 50s and 60s in my family are still dealing with that. If you disagree with them, they feel like you're making a comment on their entire being, and they react that way. Like you just attack them personally. And it's like, no, I just disagree with you on this. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, if you want to have a heated debate and raise our voices about it, we can do it. But that doesn't mean I don't love you at the end of this fucking conversation. Doesn't mean I'm not your friend at the end of this conversation.
Right. Or you have kind of the flip side of that situation. Somebody that was raised without any actual limits or restrictions and told that, they could do whatever they want and you're the greatest and you're the center of all the universe. And
wow, that's building the perfect beast right there. I've seen the outcome of that a few times. That's not pretty for them when they hit adulthood and reality smacks them in the face.
Right. So if you're disagreeing with me, it's an attack, not because you hate me, but because you don't appreciate me.
Yeah, that's more of the narcissist side coming out.
Yeah.
Which, and I don't know these gentlemen, and I use the term gentleman very loosely now that I think about it. I probably shouldn't use it at all, but I don't know these fellas. I have no idea their psychological makeup, but I'm going to go ahead and say, at least with the pipe bomb guy, there was a lot of pictures that he had of himself on all his social media before that happened. Like, he loved him some him.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that goes hand in hand with the, I am so fucking special and I am so unique that everybody must hear my point of view. And not only hear it, but adhere to it. You must agree with me, like you said. And
so that's the difference between a podcast and being this guy? We just want you to hear it. We don't want you to adhere to it.
Well, I mean, considering that, like, we're pretty much like do drugs, fuck hookers, and, you know, throw rocks at government tanks. Yeah, I would say don't live. No, don't do any. I mean, well, smoke weed. If you can fuck a stripper once or twice, dude, don't bring her home. And don't throw rocks at tanks. Run from a tank. Okay? Hide. That's your best bet. You know, maybe some ecstasy. I don't know. Whatever. You know, coke never hurt nobody. Basically, live the life we're telling you to live. Yes, exactly.
So keep going. I think you're writing our Bible right now. This is going into our manifesto. This
is handed down from Christopher Hitchens himself to me on tablets, and I'm presenting it to you. Like, here's our 10 commandments. No, do those drugs. What was it Dennis Leary said in his Lock and Load special? He goes, I'm going to rewrite the 10 commandments. Fuck, thou shall not. Thou shall. Don't fuck children. Don't kill people. Don't steal from people. Don't rape people. That's it. That's all you got to do. The rest of the shit, do what you want.
I had an interesting conversation with my daughter this weekend who watched, she binged through all of Sabrina on Netflix, and which isn't a bad show. I was kind of, I saw some of it, but I wasn't really paying attention. But I did notice that there was a lot of Satanism talk in this. So much so that when I heard that Lucian Greaves is actually going after Netflix for false representation and using the Baphomet stat. Because I came in the room and I saw that and I was like, oh, that's Baphomet. And my daughter and I started talking about it, and I kind of explained to her what the Church of Satan or the Satanic Temple is. Lucian Greaves, right? Church of Satan is another organization.
Yeah, that's anyway. That's the shaved head guy with the goatee that died.
Right. So anyway, kind of had a interesting discussion about, well, a lot of it was about the two different versions of Satan. The original one that was just a rebel, and then the newer version that has horns and lives underground. And but my daughter asked me, she's like, "Do you believe in God?" I was like, "No." She says, "Well, what does that make you?" Knowing that, like, she has people in her family who do, and that makes this person a Christian or this person a Muslim or whatever the fuck, whoever his religion is.
Makes me a winner, honey.
And I said, well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I've used the term atheist before because it's a nice shortcut, but it's a term that people would apply to people who believe but it's kind of interesting because, well, what would you call somebody who didn't think the earth was flat? Is that person a round earther? No, it's just a fucking person, right? The person who believes the earth is flat is a flat earther.
No, and people who believe the world's round are sheeple, man.
Right.
They're sheeple.
Right. So why is there a term for somebody who doesn't believe in God? Why is there a label for me for not believing what you believe? The term atheist says nothing about my beliefs, right? Other than I don't believe what others believe about religion.
Yeah, pretty much atheist is telling you, whereas I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim. Okay, we know what you believe. At least ballpark it. We can ballpark it. We know what you believe. Atheist, because you don't believe in God, you don't believe in anything. It's telling you what whereas all these other labels tell people where you're coming from. That just tells them what you don't believe in, where you're not coming from.
Right. I mean, you may not adhere to all the scriptures and texts and whatnot. You might be cherry picking your own religion, but at least we have a framework, something to work with. I don't know. I eschew the term atheist because it's meaningless for me. I don't go around calling myself, well, I'm a round earther. Hey, you guys are all aware that the earth is round, right? Don't believe this nonsense you see on the internet about flat earth. I'm a round earther. It's like there has to be a label for me for taking an opposing side to this. If one side is a belief and I'm anti that, not even anti that, I just don't believe it, then that puts me on this other side and applies a label to me. And it's kind of where I find myself falling politically. I mean, if somebody made a supercut of me over the years on this podcast saying what political party or belief I align with, it would probably run the gamut, except for like ultra right-wing conservative. But I don't fall anywhere. Right?
Remember that day Aaron was at a Ted Cruz? That was a weird week.
No, I think the strangest thing was after 3 months of Trump, and we were sitting here talking about like the good old days of W.
Yeah.
And then we realized what we were doing, and we're like, oh boy, that's how low we've sunk. Wow. Okay.
Remember when someone would just throw a shoe at the president and then he'd dodge it?
Yeah. Remember when the most embarrassing thing about the president is he couldn't speak? Now we got one that speaks too much. But yeah, I wanted to ask you something about the new Sabrina show, because I came in from work and you guys were watching it, and I didn't realize what it was. I honestly thought it was. Haven't they started making like prequel movies to the Harry Potter movies, the Fantastic Beast or whatever the fuck movies? I thought it was one of those.
No, those are a lot more tame.
And I was like, wow, they're mentioning Satan a lot. Like Harry Potter was just like, J.K. Rowling was like, well, if you're going to accuse me of it, I'm going to do the shit. So Satan everywhere.
Ozzy Osbourne from 1983 was like, hey, man, calm that shit down.
Down to Satan shit.
That was the whole plot of season 1 was like, Sabrina's a half witch. This is a story that goes back to Archie Comics. But, she's got a witch mother and a human father, I guess. But she grows up with witches. She learns witchcraft and all this. And then, excuse me. Sorry. Then she has this kind of like coming of age ceremony thing. She has her
CON.
Her what?
Nothing. I'm being an idiot. Just continue.
And it turns out that this ceremony is actually going to be her signing over her soul or whatever to Satan, pledging her allegiance forever, being his bride. Some sort of pact that she's supposed to sign in this book, and she refuses to. And it's not like she's anti-Satan, She's been a witch. She's been learning all this witchcraft. She's just like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, do we need to get married? So she's kind of seen as a heretic. Like because she's not buying fully 100% into this religion that she's a part of. Anyway, I don't know. Did you actually get to a specific question on the show, or?
I have to admit, I'm shocked that, one, this is closer to the source material than the Melissa Joan Hart show, obviously. And two, that the source material had this much like
Oh no!
mention of Satan in it,
No, I'm
especially
sorry.
from an Archie comic. I'm starting to think Hooper X's rant.
I should have.
And
There's a
Chase
divider
Amy was
there.
right.
No, I see where you're getting that from, but like, no, her being part witch and part human, and she lives in a small town outside of Riverdale called Greendale, and she knows witchcraft. That's all they took from the Archie comic.
Oh, okay, because I was starting to think like
The Archie comic is actually a lot closer to what the version you saw with Melissa Joan Hart. This was like the dark, gritty reimagining of Sabrina. I mean,
All right,
now it doesn't come from nowhere. More recent Archie comics have reinvented characters like Sabrina, as there's this whole kind of line of Archie comics that are more adult oriented or about horror. I think Jughead's a werewolf or what have you. So they are pulling that kind of from more modern Archie comics, but the original vintage Archie comics, no, that was quite tame.
I'm just picturing the exchange between Hooper X and Jason Lee's character in Chase and Amy. You are crazy. Archie is not fucking Mr. Weatherby. Read between the lines, bitch. Why do you think Archie could never decide on Veronica or what's her name? Because he wanted them both at the same time. No, because he wanted to fuck Jughead. That's why he wears that crown, because he's the king of Queen Archie's world. But no, I'm shocked honestly now because how long has this show been out on Netflix? Like a week or two, maybe.
Yeah, it just came out last weekend.
Okay,
10 episodes.
I guess the outrage.
I was like, hey,
machine
you
is
want to
still
watch
building.
Sabrina? My daughter didn't even know about it, and I knew about it because everyone was talking about it on Twitter. And I was like, yeah, so it's a little more mature, but come on, it's Sabrina. How racy can it be? And there's no like nudity. I don't even remember anyone swearing. There's some people dying, and there's some kind of, but it's like PG-13 type horror movie shit.
Gotcha.
But there's a lot of serious talk about Satanism, witches, witchcraft. I mean, like, it's not twilighted up. Like, it's grittier than that.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of waiting for the people that were like, oh, this Harry Potter satanic, to work themselves up into a froth over this because, oh man, have you seen? If you think Harry Potter was bad, you seen this new Sabrina? Like the cat's not even a puppet. Like and they talk about Satan and it's going to happen eventually. Maybe because it's on Netflix and it's not like.
Well, there's some people concerned about it, but yeah.
I mean, personally, I don't give a shit because if my kid asked me, hey, what about all this Satan stuff? I'd be like, do you believe in it? No. Is it any different if you watch a show that they're talking about Christianity or Judaism or Islam or Buddhism or something? No, it's all bullshit. I mean, whatever.
Some of my conversation may have gone over my daughter's head, but I don't dumb shit down for my kids. I want them to ask questions, but this is something that we got into when we were talking back and forth about Satanism and what it meant. And I was like, it's kind of interesting that the story of Lucifer, right, is, as I said earlier, the rebel, really. His deal was like, you've made us angels and we are closer to God, and then you made these humans down there. They are below us. But yet you gave them the ultimate gift, which is free will. And we who claim, you claim to love more even than these people, like we are the closest you can get to God without being God himself. We are your slaves. And that's what he was essentially rebelling against. I mean, again, the later version of like Pitchfork and the long tail, roasting people in hell was all made up just to fearmonger. But that's the story of Lucifer. It wasn't his sin was not obeying his God.
Well, I think Milton captured the essence of it the best in Paradise Lost with "It's better to reign in hell than serve in heaven."
Right.
That's basically, that tells you, it doesn't encapsulate everything about the character of Satan, but it definitely sums up how he feels
Right.
in one sentence.
But it also shows why his story had to change, right? Eventually, we had to change him into, well, he's just evil, and his mission is to try and corrupt everyone else onto his side, and don't look too deeply into it. Just don't go to hell because you don't want to see him. Because the original story is one we've seen multiple times in history, and that person is the hero, right? The one who leads the revolution. Lucifer is fucking George Washington.
He's a terrorist or a freedom fighter, depending on what side you're standing on.
Right.
Oh, I absolutely get that. Yeah.
I don't know.
See, this is like somewhere. Oh God! I hope this episode is not the one my Christian family decides to tune into.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, "Oh my God, he's teaching his child to love Satan," and it's like, no, you're missing the point. But way to fundamentalist it up, folks. I'm glad that we can always count on you to be the exact same thing you always are.
Yeah. No. Yes, we were talking about Satanism, but I don't.
We always keep it fun and light here on Unregimented.
I could have just said, yeah, they're talking about Satan and Satanism, but that's all bullshit. None of that's real. Don't worry about it. But instead, I decided to go, okay, well, yes, given that is all bullshit, why is this story so persistent? What does it mean? Because whether you believe in any of any religion at all of it is full of stories that are so important to humans and that tell us something about what is important to us, what our motivations are, what our aspirations are, everything. So I don't totally poo-poo religion. I don't even want to talk about that nonsense because none of it's real. I enjoy talking about, the stories in the Bible with people. Just, it's hard to have a rational conversation if you're going to believe that all that shit happened.
Well, yeah. And that's where I just kind of...
At some point you knew the cow didn't jump over the moon.
Yeah, and you can't... I hate to say this because I have so many deeply religious people in my family, but it's just I can't have a discussion that even might veer off into it,
right?
Because it's not going to end well. Yeah. Because ultimately, with the type of people you can't have that discussion with, this is the reason why. You just want to go, look, you believe what you want, I believe what I want, and I don't give a shit what you believe, so you shouldn't give a shit what I believe. And they're looking at it as, no, it is my job to save you, because I don't want to see you suffer eternally. So I'm not going to give up. There is no end to my fight till I draw my last breath. What do you do with a person like that? You can't even have an objective conversation. There's no way. There's no way. Well,
that kind of leads into the question of, is it an atheist's duty to proselytize? If you believe that everyone else is believing in nonsense, do you feel some challenge to bring people over to your side?
Oh.
No. I mean, you shouldn't, because you can't be talked into believing it.
Right?
Evangelical anything tends to get on my nerves. I
don't think that's a popular thought, but I think it is out there.
Oh no, I know some. It's like the very militant vegetarians, or there's, if you're a militant vegetarian, you've went vegan basically. So it's like the militant vegans who are like, I don't eat meat, I don't use any animal byproducts, and neither should you. Yeah. And it's like, no. Well,
this was in a recent episode of Penn Jillette's podcast. They talked about this. They did an episode where they answered people's questions, and a lot of the questions are about atheists, because Penn Jillette is a popular atheist. And one of the questions was kind of about that same thing. And his response was that, the difference is whether you think somebody is going to be hurting themselves or going to be endangered in some way, right? Meaning that a Christian may proselytize because he believes he is saving someone, right? That person's belief is that this atheist, if they die as an atheist, their soul is going to be eternally damned. And I'm trying to prevent that from happening. So there is good intention there. Whereas on the atheist side, you aren't saving anyone. If somebody believes what they believe, and you believe that none of this matters and you're just going to die and anyway, and that, that's it, there is no afterlife, then what are you saving them from by trying to convince them of your way of thinking?
Well, but like I said, there are people who definitely, I have to convince people to think this way, that there is nothing when you die. I'm just, those people are as annoying as the people knocking on my door on Saturday morning. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Seriously, just go. It doesn't
Watchtower for you.
Yeah, and I got this flying spaghetti monster pamphlet for you. There. Now we've exchanged fairy tales. Can we end this relationship? See, that's my issue with religion. Is not people believing in nonsense. It's people, and it's not nonsense to them, But like I've said, you take everything on faith. If you start taking religious text as the literal word of God, then you have to take a lot on faith that flies in the face of every single provable fact and observable fact we know. And if you choose to do that with yourself, that's fine. I've begrudgingly got to the point where I used to look at it like, if you shove that shit in your kid's head when they're kids, that's child abuse. Like, you're lying to your children, like, period. And then we're not talking like, oh, Santa. You eventually tell them Santa and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy are fake, but you still tell them Jesus is real. And it's like, come the fuck on, really? Let them fucking come up with their own make their own mind up. Well, you got to raise them up right in God so they stay strong in Christ for their whole life. Oh, so that's what God wants, a bunch of brainwashed people who never considered not being a Christian and made the choice to be a Christian. Wouldn't they be a better warrior for Christ?
If your religion is that big of a part of your life, then how are you going to shut off that part of your life from your own kids? And you shouldn't.
I mean, if you look, that's the beauty and the horror of America. You can raise your kids how you want. You can not vaccinate them. You can homeschool them. You can teach them the Earth's 6,000 years old.
Yeah, but look, when you say raise a kid, what you're doing is helping someone find their moral compass in this world. And if how you find your moral compass in this world is through your religion, then you should be teaching that to your kids.
That's why I said I've begrudgingly come to the point of, I'm like, okay. Because I have cousins that were raised by very religious parents, and I've talked with them, and privately, when their parents aren't in the room, of course I don't believe in talking snakes and people coming back from the dead and living in the belly of a giant fish.
But they enjoy that connection they have to their family.
They're like, but I don't want to hurt my parents' feelings.
Yeah. And consider this too. I mean, like, I like the fact that this country is becoming less religious, that there are more atheists and more people that are willing to speak out, openly be atheists in this country. But what's replacing it? What's replacing it is
politics.
Is Democratic or Republican.
Todd brought it up many times. A lot of people's new religion is the state.
Yeah. I think I said that first, but anyway.
Oh, I mean, well, look, it doesn't matter who said it first. I'm just saying, Todd really latched onto that thought and beat that drum for like quite a few weeks in a row.
Right.
On the show here. And
so we shouldn't examine so much people's beliefs as we should their behavior, because sure, you could maybe convince somebody that there is no God, but probably only those who haven't thought about it too hard anyway. But what that person is still going to harbor the same beliefs about everything, basically, right? They just won't have some religious justification for it, right? It's not like going hand in hand with not believing in God means believing in progress. Just like being atheist has nothing to do with being a liberal. You can just as easily be conservative. So if you, I'm with Bill Maher in the way that, like, I don't like what a lot of things have been done in the name of religion. I think that it's used to spread a lot of fear and lies and misinformation, but none of that necessarily goes away if you remove religion from the equation. If you remove the ancient texts, if they all just suddenly disappear from everyone's memory and from existence, you're able to, like, go back in time and wipe it. You would have probably the same behavior, just these fervent beliefs in fucking Egyptian times and Roman times. Like, yeah, we elected you, but we elected you because you're God. Right? You are the God now.
See,
and when you die, someone else will be God.
One of the major problems with all of this is that no matter what, if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, if the state is your religion, if your political party is your religion, the more and more I think about it, it's just human nature to want to be, if you're not on top, you want to claim some sort of victimhood. And it's like so many Christians in my family and that I talk to that are friends, oh, we're so persecuted. And I'm like, you're so what would it be like people come to your door and throw, like, severed sheep's head and shit? And, like, you stupid fucking Christians, you Christ-loving cocksuckers. And they're like, no, they disagree with me. Well, that's not being oppressed. Someone going, I don't agree with you, is an oppression. And once you fully, deeply drank of the Kool-Aid, that's where you end up. Why? Because you need that enemy to fight against. You need the other to fight against. And the left is great at it. They're so good at it that if they no longer have an enemy presenting themselves up to be the bad guy, they will create one and ostracize people from their own ranks to make one. And I mean, religion did it first, and they did it just as well. How many offshoots of Catholicism are there? Why? Because one group of Catholics wanted to do one thing, this group of Catholics said you can't. Fine, we're no longer Catholic. We're whatever the fuck. We're what is the big one I'm thinking of? Where Martin Luther put the Lutherans. Thank you. Yes, shit like that. Baptists. You figure a bunch of people who believe in hellfire and brimstone, and like that's what they're preaching about, could all get together and commiserate with and pat themselves on the back for not burning in hell like the rest of us fucking heathens. No, they got to split up. We got the First Baptist and we got the Southern Baptist and then you got the Pentecostal Baptist. Those are people rolling around on the floor and talking in tongues, and the First Baptist looked down on them and the Southern Baptist looked down. It's just, I guess it's just human nature. And it's just something that I don't get because I don't have that in me. I don't want to be completely at odds with another group of people over an idea or a belief. But so many people want to that it doesn't matter what you give them. You give them religion, they'll find a way to argue amongst themselves. You give them the religion that is the state, you give them law, you give them political parties, they'll find a way to fight amongst themselves and to make the other guy he's the devil and he wants to take from you, and fear. That's something that I haven't really noticed in a while now. But remember when, like, political ads told you the stance of the person that was paying for the ad? Now all political ads do is attack their opponent. And yeah, that's always been there, but that is the rule now. Sometimes I don't even know whose ad I'm listening to. I just know that they are anti-progressives or anti-Trumpers, whatever you want to call them. Until it gets to the end and I'm so-and-so and I approve of this message, I don't even know who the fucking ad's for. But I can tell you what the ad's against. And we revel in that. We wallow in that. We like that. So that is a flaw in our fucking makeup. At least that's how I look at it, because it gets us nowhere. We're still chasing our tail. We're just not, we're not willing to kill each other over, well, some of us are willing to kill each other over religion. But it's quickly getting to the point where you have more and more people like, you know what? Yeah, I wouldn't mind a civil war. And I'm looking at them like, you know what? Fuck it. Go ahead. Just don't come on my fucking property because I'm shooting anybody that comes on my property. You want to kill each other? Kill each other in the streets. Let the streets run red with the idiot blood that's in both of you morons. I don't care. Leave me the fuck out of it. Because ultimately, what have we ever done in human history? That's where it ends up. There's never been a completely peaceful society.
No, Rich, you have to choose your fighter, and there's only two choices, Antifa or Proud Boys. Which one do you support?
Oh, God. Can I click that none of the above box that we were talking about earlier? And see, Antifa's got like moldy locks, and guys that make me look like I'm like thin.
Moldy locks?
Yeah,
moldy locks.
They're the hippie bitches that don't shave, and then they got like nasty dreadlocks and
the Kool-Aid dreads.
Yeah, and the pussy hair so long they can braid it, make it Pippi Longstocking pussy and shit. I mean, it's like
it's no joke. I've seen it.
It's a whole genre of porn. And it's like, I can't deal with that. But then on the alt-right, it's like, it's the Proud Boys. When we were talking about them a few episodes ago, I was like, just thinking like, just fucking get it over with. Just have sex with each other. It's okay. It is 2018. No one gives a shit but you. It is not a problem for anybody else.
I know. Like maybe it's the gay in me, but when I hear Proud Boys, I think of a bunch of dudes with boners.
When I think of Proud Boys, I think of a gayer version of the Duran Duran song Wild Boys. The video looks more like Frankie Goes to Hollywood than a Duran Duran video. Like, Proud Boys, yes, we're proud.
We have to end it here, right? Everyone now has the mental image of all the Proud Boys fucking each other.
Doing the elephant walk.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Gavin McInnes's beard just drenched in cum. There you go. There's a period on the end of that sentence.
Good night.
Yeah. We're on Twitter at UnregimentedPod. You can email the show unregimented@ChristopherMedia.net. Yeah, that's about it. If you're new, welcome to the show. If you're a returning listener, tell a friend. Tell this thing keeps getting bigger, and we'll catch you next week.
Vote.
Sure. Later, guys.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook by searching for Christopher Media. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.